All right, guys, we're about ready to get started. You guys ready to tell some spooky stories tonight? All right, we're here in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, the heart of Creek Country. Am I right? If you're Mvskoke and you're proud, make some noise. All right, that sounds good. Tonight, again, we're going to open the floor for anybody that has a story. But before, I want to tell some rules tonight before we get started. Let us try to keep it to one story. And remember, we want to let everybody have an opportunity to speak. So if you're past 10, 15, 30 minutes, you might be going too long. So I'm going to ask the crowd, if someone's up here and they're going too long or on story number 20, let's start the clap to remind everybody. Let's, give everybody an opportunity to tell their story. With that being said, again, for some of you guys that might not know me, my name is Christopher Hill. I'm from Okmulgee. And again, I'm Mvskoke Creek, and I'm glad to be here today. I know last year we had a good time, and they asked us to come back, and I think that's great. Doing these kind of events is one of the oldest ceremonies in Indian country, storytelling. It goes way back. And again, these are awesome stories that, people tell from our nation. There's a lot of tribes out there that have stories and they don't really share. But I know a lot of you guys have family stories that has been handed from generation to generation. So again, I ask, if you guys get a chance, come up, please tell your stories. But again, let's keep them clean so everybody, all the children, all the relatives can hear this. So again, we want clean stories up here. And so I think that goes over about all the rules. Anyway, to start the night off, I have invited the Unsolved Mysteries of the Reservation crew here. I've got Russell Sun Eagle. Make some noise for it. He's Pawnee and Oto. So you have to forgive him on that. No. Over here to the right of me, I have Mr. Yahola Tiger, all the way from Eufaula. He walked here, barefooted. Well, anyway, let's give him a round of applause. At this time, I'd like to ask Russell Sun Eagle to say a few words before we get started.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for coming out. Very honored to be here and to be able to. How many of y'all listen to the Unsolved Mysteries of the Reservation podcast? Has anybody listened to that yet? Anybody follow us on TikTok? Yep, we got some people on there. So if you don't know, we do Unsolved Mysteries of the Reservation podcast, which is available on Spotify, Apple. I would say Google, you would find it for sure. And sometimes we do lives on TikToks, on our TikTok. So we're out here just spreading good words, good stories, sharing it with the world. There's a lot of people from Australia that want to come down and hang out with us, but I think that's really cool. And they have their own stories too, where they tell us things in our comment section. So I know we have a Halloween episode coming out on the 31st. And I'll go ahead and say it. We have a Dogman episode coming out on November 4th. So if you're not following us or subscribe to the podcast, please do that so you won't miss out on these shows. And it's me, Yahola, Chris Hill, and Tyler Randall. Tyler's not here tonight. He had some stuff go on, but it's all four of us, and we just sit down and we have these conversations and we tell stories and we just have a good time. It's fun. But everybody go follow us on Instagram, TikTok, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're almost at a 1,000, right?
Yep.
Almost at 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button. Follow us on TikTok. I think we have like 30,000 people that follow us on there, but that's really cool. I don't think it matters though. That's what I heard. But I guess I'll give the mic to Yehola if you want to say anything.
Hey, we appreciate you guys having us tonight. I know Russell kind of put me on the spot there. We're in the middle of a live, but one thing too about this, type of event is passing down knowledge, and that's a lot of what our podcast is. So we appreciate you guys coming out, and if you got a story, come on up. Mado.
Let's give these young men a round of applause. Again, I know you guys showed up to hear some spooky stories. So here we go. Are you guys ready? That don't sound like you guys are ready. Are you guys ready? All right, sounds good. I'm going to tell you this personal story of mine. I was going to the greatest university Oklahoma has to offer. Oklahoma State University in Stillwater. I was going to school there, and this is in the late 90s. Anyway, I was a struggling student, like many students are, and I was living in this little trailer house outside of Stillwater, and anyway, to make a long story short, I was out there, and I'd make my way to school back and forth, but I really never had a problem staying in that trailer house. I'd always sleep good, but I'd have family members come and visit me, some cousins, and friends from Oak Bogey come up, and visit me, but they'd always leave. They'd always say, "Man, I can't stay here. There's just weird things going on. We hear things outside. We see things inside the home." And I'm saying, "Man, you guys must be, just too scared because it's the country. Maybe you guys are too cityfied. I don't know." So, I'd have several of them come over the years, to visit me. But they would never stay. Some of them might stay a day, but, after that, they'd always leave. And when I'd ask them, they'd say, there was just weird things happening there. They see or hear things. Well, anyway, towards the end of my time up there, my last month that I was there, everybody knew I was getting ready to start work and move on. And so, anyway, to make a long story short, I started having dreams. I started having dreams of these Indian people coming seeing me. And in my dream, I never really seen what size they were. I just knew they were Indian folks. But they were strange Indian folks. The reason I went to Stillwater was because I was always told that there was a lot of native tribes that went to school up or lived around that school. But when I was there, I never really seen that many Indians. But anyway, when I'd have these dreams, I would dream these. They were kind of like dressed like Plains Indians, and they would come and they would visit me. And of course, I kept having this ongoing dream almost every night. And anyway, to make a long story short, I had a relative, over there in Hannah. His name was Tony Mitchell. I don't know if any of you guys might know him. But I asked him one day, I said, I keep having this dream, these Indian folks. He said it's definitely a prominent dream. So it's got a lot of meaning to it. Anyway, to make a long story short, that's all he said. You know, and then I started noticing in my dreams that these Indian folks that kept visiting me, it was the same Indian folks. You know, they would have shaved heads, and they would have that leggings on. They were very detailed in their outfit. You know, again, I noticed that right off the bat. But I also noticed something else. I always noticed that they were by sticks or rocks. And because of that, I could discern their size. And of course, these, in my dream, they might have been only about 10 inches tall. You know, again, I kept having these dreams, them coming visiting me. We wouldn't really talk with our mouths, but I knew what they were saying, and I would communicate back with them in my thoughts. Sometimes we'd have good visits. We'd talk about my school and where I'm getting ready to go, and you know, future endeavors that I had on my mind. So, you know, again, I thought, well, this must be just, you know, a dream. I'm dreaming of these little folks that are coming to see me. And maybe, you know, maybe I was lonesome for home, lonesome for Okmulgee. You know, anyway, you know, towards the last week that I was getting ready to start moving out and moving to Tulsa. Anyway, these little Indians, they came, and in my dream, they left me a gift, or several gifts. And one was a little pouch of tobacco, and the other one was like a stick. When I seen it, it kind of looked like a walking cane, but the size of it, it looked like a toothpick. You know, it had a lot of drawings and designs on it. You know, when I woke up from that dream, it seemed so real. Anyway, I got up, got cleaned up, got dressed, was getting ready to go and finalize my closing of my rent there at that trailer park, or at that trailer house. Went to go see the owner, but as soon as I walked out that door, on that porch was a little bag and a little stick. And I picked those things up, and I looked at them, and they were just like in my dream. And I thought, these are so small, they must come, some kid must have been playing on my porch, must have left it. Maybe it was an action figure accessories. So I went, my nearest neighbor was quite a ways away, but I knew they had some children, so I went over there. And I talked to the mother, and I said, I don't know if your children come to my place, but I said, does this belong to them? And, you know, of course, you know, she said, no, it don't belong to them. I know my kids, and they don't have anything like that. So, anyway, I took it back, and I came back to Okmulgee. They were having, I think, a benefit dinner over here at that community center. I seen that old man, Tony Mitchell, at that time, and I showed him those items. And he told me that, you know, old Mvskokees, they have a strong belief in those Stillabutskegees, and that these items were sacred gifts to you. They were meant for you to use. And he said, you know, try your best to hold on to them, you know, keep them. But again, I was a young man, just full of all kinds of stuff, like many youth are. Of course, I lost them. You know, I didn't really appreciate it. But now that I think about it, and the stories that he would tell, I thought, man, that sure is proof that those things do exist. And that is my story for tonight. But at this time, I'm going to open the floor for anybody that might have a story. Does anybody have a story? I was told, Augustine, are you out there? Orlito, are you out there? Come on down. Now, if you have a story, you guys come down and line up. So, anyway, we're going to give her some time. All right, Moto.
Hello, my name is Augustina Rodriguez, and I'm sad to say amongst all you creeks over here, I'm a Seminole. I'm a full-blood Seminole. But I thought I'd tell you a little story here. Do y'all know where New Tulsa Stomp Ground is? Well, there was a bunch of us teenagers over there one summer. There was a bunch of us teenagers at the New Tulsa Stomp Dance, and we decided to go swimming. We decided to go swimming that night. It was on a Friday night, so we went, and the kids knew about a big pond there. So we went there. Girls on one side and the boys on the other side. We got undressed and got to the pond. We're splashing around and having fun, when all of a sudden, back up in the hills, we heard someone say, "Hey." And we listened, and it said it again, "Hey." And so we stopped what we was doing and we listened again. And it sounded like it was coming closer. Now back up there, it's nothing but hills and a bunch of... What? Like this? Okay, sorry. I don't know how to hold a mic. But anyway, while we were swimming, we heard... Well, anyway, we had gone swimming that evening. A bunch of us teenagers from New Tulsa Stomp Dance. So, anyway, we went swimming that night, and then back up in the hills, we heard someone say, "Hey." Anyway, we heard someone say, "Hey." And we were all swimming, and then pretty soon another, "Hey." So they said, "Who lives back that way?" And they said, "Nobody does. It's nothing but hills." And so one of the boys there, he hollered back, "Hey." And then it seemed to be coming closer. "Hey." And we went to the edge of the pool. We started getting out of the pond, you know. And it sounded like it was coming fast down the hill. And then again, "Hey." And by that time we got on the clothes, we were scrambling for the cars. And by the time we got to the car, right on the other side of that pond, we heard that, "Hey." And we got in our cars and we took off from there. We never did know what it was. And we went back and told the old folks, and they said, "What was y'all doing out there swimming in the pond anyway?" Said, "Y'all should have been over here." Said, "That's what y'all get." Never could figure out what it was. But wherever it was coming at us fast.
Moto, give her a round of applause. I know Chris is out in the audience right now. I think he's got somebody come to tell a story. Here you go, Chris.
Let's give her another round of applause. Now again, if you have a story, don't be shy. That's what we come out here for. If you don't want to tell a story, we'll all go home early. So, again, at this time, I'm going to call Mr. Will Hill up here to tell a story. If he needs some help. Caitlin, right here.
Gomagiri Sistungo in Mabuhedas. I'm going to tell you a story. Our Seminole sister here, a lot of us are Creek and Seminole. My brother and I were Creek and Seminole, full bloods. And this is a story I heard the old timers tell a long time ago. And it comes from the Florida Everglades. And they used to say that there were all kinds of manners of strange creatures that lived out in the Florida Everglades. The people there, they speak their own different kind of language. For instance, here in Muskogean country, when we say house, we say chugo. There, they say chigi. So they have their own way. For instance, when we greet people, we say hishte, songo. They say chiantamo, hilibikchi, and bikchobe. And so they have their own ways of speaking their own language, but we carried a lot of that here to this Oklahoma. And so they say there were once two hunters, brothers, and their mom told them they were getting ready to go out into the swamp to hunt for deer. She said, now you listen here. She said, there's all kinds of strange things out there in that swamp, and you need to look after each other. If you ever see anything out of the ordinary, don't try to pick it up. Don't try to mess with it. Leave it alone. You just come back home. She said, all right. So they headed out into the swamp. They hunted. And they kept going farther and farther, deeper into the Everglades. Till finally, it started to get really dark outside, and they couldn't get back home. They didn't have enough cornmeal in their satchels to eat for that evening. And so they came upon this kind of a cypress tree. At the bottom of the cypress tree, they looked like a nest, some kind of a nest. And in the middle there was an egg. And the one brother said to the other, said, I'm really hungry, and that really looks good. He said, you heard what Mom said. You see anything strange, don't eat it. He said, but I'm really hungry. So he brought out his little pot. They made fire, and there he cooked that little egg, cut it open, he cooked it, and then he got ready to eat it. He asked his brother, he said, do you want some of this? And he said, no, I don't want any of it. But he went ahead, that one brother, he went ahead and he devoured that egg. He was so hungry. About in the middle of the night, the other brother heard his brother that ate that egg groaning. He said, are you all right? He said, I'm really having some really bad stomach pains. It must have been that egg. He said, well, we'll probably be all right. Just try to go to sleep. So he did. And so when the morning time came, his brother was gone. He looked all over for him and couldn't find him. He called to him. Couldn't hear him. He couldn't find him. And so he hollered and yelled, still couldn't reach him. So finally when he made his way back to the camp, he told his mom what had happened. She said, didn't you listen to me? I told you not to do that. Said, we'll have to go out there and see if we can find him. So they went all the way back out there. And as they got to that spot, he said, we were right here. We were camped right here. Matter of fact, here's the fire. And she said, well, I wonder what happened to him. So she hollered for him, but didn't hear anything. Pretty soon, they looked into the water. Those dark, murky waters, there was something coming to the surface. And they backed up and said, it might be an alligator. You better get out of the water. So they got back onto the land out of the thrush. And all of a sudden, out of that water, where all those high reeds were, a great big snake, black snake, he came up out of that water. And he began to talk to him. Mother. And she recognized the voice of her son, because all mothers, they know their children. And she knew that it was him. In her heart, she knew so. And so, that big snake, he glided through the water to where she was. And she put her little hands out, and he put his head, that great big serpent head, into her hands. Big tears began to roll down his face. And she stroked his head. She said, I'm so sorry, son. He said, no, I'm sorry, Mother, because I didn't listen. You told us not to. And I went ahead and did what you told me not to do, and now this is the price that I paid. And so ever since then, the Florida Everglades Seminoles, whenever they come up on a snake, they never kill it, because they say it could be that son still looking for his mother. Sometimes they say he gets as tall as the big palm trees there that are out in that Everglade. They call him Chiquimico, king of all snakes. But
Caitlin, can you come up and help him? All right, I sure appreciate him coming up, telling that story. Again, are you guys ready to tell some stories? All right, well, the floor is open. Right now, I got Mr. Richard Beaver. He's our next storyteller. Again, some of you guys might want to get your cameras ready. He's a well-known artist, Creek and Seminole. He sings, he dances, he does all kinds of stuff. So at this time, come on down, Richard Beaver. Okay. We have a medicine bag up here that's got, I guess, diabetic medicine. If you lost it, better come up. Claim it up the table. The silver card 1378. This is where this was found. So if this belongs to you, come on down.
Can y'all hear me? Yeah, my name is Richard Beaver, and I got a story to tell you. Y'all might know him, y'all might not, but his name was Stanley Smith, and I used to hang around with him, and one time he was making some medicine, and he was showing me and everything, and he showed me how to do this with the little people. It was little people's medicine, and he told me that if you use it, it won't. If they want you to use it, well, they'll let you. If not, well, then you won't be able to. And at first he told me that there's some that's kind of mean. There's some that's nice, and some of them will take care of you. And he told me that. So he showed me, and they accepted me. And so he gave me a little medicine bag. He said, keep it now, don't lose it. He said, if you lose it, well then they'll go against you. And so, a long time ago too, that I was telling him about my uncle Joe, a long time ago. They took him. They kept him for, I think, 4 to 7 days. And he went outside to use the restroom, and it was snowing. And we went out there to look for him, and he wasn't there. And I told my great-grandmama, I said, hey, I don't see him anywhere. But he was just a little ways down from the road, and he told us that he could see everybody going by and everything, but he couldn't talk to, we couldn't hear him. And so he said they took care of him and everything, and fed him and everything. And then we found him, and he was at the same place. And then they took my little daughter, not my daughter, but my little sister. And we went outside looking for her. And I had a feeling to go down this fence line. And I was looking for her and everything, calling her name. And our dog, our German Shepherd dog, was with her. And he come to me at the fence, and I was telling him that, where's she at? Where's she at? Show me. And that fence was high, so I got over the fence, and I found her under a big tree. And it was 7 miles from where we lived at, where she was at. So I grabbed her and brought her home and everything. And of course, she couldn't hardly tell us what really went on. So, but the medicine that I have with the little people, they do take care of me and everything. And they follow me and let me know what's going on before it happens and everything. So, that's what am I doing?
Motto! All right. Our next storyteller. You guys might know him. He's famous around here telling stories. He works for Mvskoke Media. I'm going to call Mark Abbott. Come on down, Mark Abbott. He's got his videos on Sasquatch, so I know he's very knowledgeable. So we're going to call upon him at this time. You guys give him a round of applause. He tries to be sneaky, but he don't know he's dealing with real creeks.
Thank you. Exchange, don't go. Mark Abbott, Yahoo Jifkados. I learned that because I'm probably going to run for princess next year. Anyway, yeah, I've got one story I can tell you. If you saw the video, I was on tour with American Indian Dance Theater, and I had to leave early in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, to get to San Rafael from Eureka, California. And I stopped at the only gas station that was open. It was just outside of town, getting ready to go into the mountains, and there's really heavy fog. And I'm pumping gas, and all of a sudden I hear this, and it goes on and on and on. It's loud, and it sounds just exactly like what they say a Bigfoot sounds like. So I'm sitting there going, man, I can't believe I just heard that. So when I go in to pay for my gas, I asked the guy, I said, hey, man, do you hear any more about Sasquatch around here? And he said, what's a Sasquatch, son? I said, you know, Bigfoot. What's a Bigfoot? The big hairy guy that runs around in the woods, don't you know about him? I ain't never heard of a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot. So, well, okay. Well, what are you doing out here so late at night? I said, well, I'm driving to San Rafael. He goes, where are you going in that box truck? And I said, I'm going to San Rafael. What are you doing with it? And I said, well, I've got theater equipment. I'm traveling with American Indian Dance Theater, and I'm going to San Rafael. You going to take this highway to get to 5? And I said, yeah. It's going to be a long, twisted road, son. I said, well, okay. Well, I'm going to go. And all of a sudden he gets a phone call. Picks it up and he goes, yeah, I'm talking to this guy named Mark Abbott. He's driving a yellow Ryder truck, and he's getting ready to head in the mountains on Highway 2. Says he's going to San Rafael, going to try to meet up with Highway 5. I'm thinking, this guy's telling on me I'm going to get rolled. Somebody's going to block off the road and I'm going to get stopped. So I got paid and I got in the truck and I took off. I head off into this fog, and just as I get in the thickest part of the fog, an owl flies right in front of me. And it turned and looked at me, and I'd have swore the face looked like a man. So I'm already nervous. Going through heavy fog, I had to slow down to about 25 miles per hour. I'm going into the mountains, and it does. That road starts curving and winding. Next thing you know, I'm sitting there, and I've got a cliff going straight up on my right-hand side and a cliff going straight down on my left-hand side. I'm going around making these turns, and I'm thinking about that Sasquatch yell that I heard. Can't get it out of my mind, and I can't get that owl out of my mind either. Take this turn, and my headlights are going along this cliff, and all of a sudden my headlights hit Bigfoot right there. There he was, standing right there, 9 foot tall. I'm freaking out. It was a wood carving. But I still freaked out. I still peed my pants. But I didn't have to worry about falling asleep all the way to San Rafael. So that's my scary story, and remember to vote for me for a princess. See you guys.
Let's give him another round of applause. If you guys haven't seen this video, you guys need to check it out. I know a lot of people shared it over Facebook and all those YouTube and everything else. So you guys get a chance, check it out. I'm going to ask, is there any other creeks out there with some stories? We're in the heart of creek country. If you got a story, come on down. All right, let's show her some love. Make some noise. I know this one's got a good story.
So I've got another one tonight.
Oh, she's got another one tonight. She scared us in Tulsa. Well, I tell you what, I wasn't able to drive home by myself.
Hey there. Can y'all hear me? My name's Oakchotty Smith McComas, and my mom grew up in Dustin area, but she left here when she was 16 and went out in the world. Wound up meeting my dad in San Francisco, and they moved down south, and I grew up in at the coast on the coast of Georgia, back where our homelands were, the Mvskoke homelands. And I went to college. My first college I went to was up in Middle Georgia, right near Okmulgee, Georgia. The mounds out there. If you've ever been out there, it's pretty cool. So if you haven't, you should definitely get out there. It's neat to see those original mounds. But I went to this college called Georgia College and State University, and the whole town that it's in has a very strange history. There was it was part of the Confederacy. It was like the capital for a minute during the Civil War, or the capital of Georgia, I think it was. And then Atlanta stole the seal, and now Atlanta is the capital. And they had an asylum there for a while, and a military college, and all kinds of very a big cross-section of different types of institutions there. Some of them had some checkered pasts. But so it was an old college, and I was up there. I think it was my freshman year, the fall of my freshman year, and I had a dorm on campus, and you could look out my dorm windows and see the trees rustling, the fall leaves were blowing around and everything, and I got really sick. I went to the clinic on campus, and they couldn't figure out what it was. They gave me some fever medicine and some like congestion medicine, and just said, get rest, and if you get worse, come back. And I just kept getting this fever. It would spike, and then I'd take my fever medicine, and it would break, and it'd come back down, and then a few hours later it'd spike again, and then I did this for at least 3 or 4 or 5 days. It would seem like a very long time. And my parents called me. They lived down south from where I was staying, at the college. And I was talking to them on the phone, and I was looking outside at the trees and the lawn, and the leaves are blowing around. And as I'm talking on the phone to my mom, I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling good. I've got some kind of sickness. I don't know what it is. They're not sure what it is, but my roommate's fine. Everyone else around me's fine. I don't think it's contagious. But as I'm on the phone with her, I look out the window, and I see in the trees these like really old Indian faces in the leaves, like just elders, just in these leaves. And I'm on the phone, and I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna be okay. Like I'm like, and she's talking, she's like, you're seeing what? And I was like, yeah, I'm seeing these like elders in the trees. I don't recognize them as like our family or anything, but they look like these faces that are like visiting me. And I eventually got off the phone, and they were like, call us if you don't, if you need anything, or you'll, feel worse or whatever, keep us updated. And I said, okay. And I was looking out the window, and I eventually went to sleep that night, and a couple days later I started feeling better. But just knowing that area and being so close to the Okmulgee Mounds, and then talking to my mom on the phone, I can't help but think like, someone out there was looking out for me. The elders that were still there, their spirits around that area were looking out for me. And there's a history in my family of seeing, my mom saw little people in the trees when she was sick when she was a kid. And these weren't little people, but they were like elder faces, and I was really comforted by them. I have a lot of mystical, you might call them mystical or spiritual moments in my life, but they've never really scared me. But they're always very profound. So it was just really interesting to be on the phone with her and just look out the window and be like, oh yeah, there's people here, they're hanging out with me. So that made me feel a little more welcomed in that area and at home, because I had just moved up there that summer. Mado.
Let's give her another round of applause. Now again, guys, tonight we're going to give you something just a little bit special. You guys hear these stories. Some of you, I know you don't believe. But tonight, I'm calling this individual up. Better have your cameras ready, because you're only going to see this once. I'm calling Niles, the shapeshifter. Come on down. Niles. Everybody on Facebook, y'all better check this out. Okay, you got anything to say, Niles?
It's Joe.
Ah, did y'all hear that? All right, let's give him a round of applause. Muddo! I don't know if you guys caught that, but that was a once in a lifetime. Whether you believe or not believe, that's up to you. All right, is there any other storytellers out there? I'm looking around. I'm looking. There's no Mvskokes out there. The floor is open. My next storyteller, she's Osage and Oto. Some of you guys might know her. Anyway, her name is Veronica Pipestem. Let's give her a round of applause. You guys get your stories ready. We're going to have Osage up here to tell us some stories.
Hello. The story I'm going to share tonight, I used to work in a museum in Mvskoke, and it's an older building on a hilltop. I won't say the name of it, but it's right next to the VA hospital. And so if you've ever been up to that museum, you know that's a really old building. It started out, I think, as the Indian Agency for the 5 tribes, and it's been a number of different things over the years. And I used to work in there with the museum collections, and I'd usually be the first one to get there in the mornings. And so I would have to go, I worked in the building next door to the older building, but I'd usually have to go into that original building in the morning, and the offices were all the way in the back, and that's where the coffee machine was too. And so I'd go in there, and I'd go into the back, and I'd start making coffee, and all the lights would still be off on that first floor. And so I always got kind of an eerie feeling in there, like I was being watched. When I would go in there, and it was always really quiet. And then again, there would be, you know, sometimes the lights in some of the cases would be on. There'd be kind of strange shadows, but I just kept thinking, well, it's probably just, you know, just my imagination kind of taken off with things. And so anyway, so I'd go in there, and I'd make my coffee, and I'd get it done as quickly as possible, and I'd get back out there to my office in the next building. But this one day, I was in the back, and I thought I heard somebody come in, because the doors are, you know, they're old original doors to that building, and they're pretty loud. And I could have swore I heard somebody come in those front doors. And so I called out, and I said, "Hello, is someone there?" And we weren't open yet, and I didn't even know how to get people admission tickets or anything, because I didn't work in that part of the museum. But nobody answered. And so I called out again, you know, and nobody answered. And so I walked to the front of the building, and that front of the building is kind of where you buy your tickets to get into the museum, and then the other side of it's the gift shop, where they have, you know, things up for sale and things like that. And so I walked up there, and I got, you know, goosebumps on my arms as I started to kind of stand there and look around. I went and checked the lock on the door, on the front door. If the door was locked, nobody could have come in. You know, I'm just thinking, man, I heard somebody. You know, sometimes they get deliveries. I was just thinking, you know, maybe it might have been something like that. But it just got real cold in there, and this was in July, so it's hot. You know, it's already hot outside by 9 a.m. But it got really cold in that front part of that room. And in one part of the gift shop, there's this earring display, that, you know, those round earring displays that you can spin around. And I wasn't paying attention to that, but all of a sudden it started to spin right next to me. And there, you know, of course, I'm 10 feet away from it at this point, and I'm just watching it spin, trying to think, you know, I just can't even figure out what's going on. I'm just processing it. And then I you know, once it hit me, I got really scared. And on the other side of the room, because I was kind of standing in the middle, I looked over, and there's just in the corner, there was a black figure, and he was he was not as wide as a regular person. He was really narrow, and he was totally black from head to toe, and it was just an outline of a man, but he was really tall and really thin, and it looked like he had a top hat on, and he didn't move, all I could see, and when I looked at him, his eyes opened, and that's all I saw were the whites of his eyes, and I took off. I didn't get my coffee, and anybody knows me knows if I don't drink coffee in the morning, there's something seriously wrong. But that's my story about that museum. Thank you very much.
All right. Now, are you guys getting warmed up? Are you guys having a good time tonight? All right. I hope you guys are getting your stories ready. The floor is open. Do I have any storytellers tonight? Come on down if you'd like to tell a story. This is your one chance. Come on down. Okay, with that being said, I guess we can all go home. No. My next storyteller, he's a local, well-known young man. Some of you guys know him as Honka. Some of us know him as Solomon Wilson. We'll call him on down. Come on down. Let's make some noise for him. Very knowledgeable young man right here.
How y'all doing tonight? I got a couple of short stories for y'all, and they've just been passed down to me. But some of it's just really short stories, and hope y'all enjoy them. First story I'm going to tell is, well, both of them will be about riding in a vehicle. And the first story I'm going to tell you, it was told to me that they was riding in the rain on the way home, and their headlights wasn't working so good. It was only reached out so far. They only had the low headlights, and as they was going along on the way home, they seen this individual walking, and it was pouring down raining. So they got a little bit closer and rolled down the window and asked him, said, "Hey, you need a ride home, or ride to where you're going?" And the individual bent down and said, "Yeah." And that person said, "Go ahead, hop on in." And that person that they picked up was wearing a long coat, long raincoat. And that person got in, and they took off, and the driver was sitting there talking to him, and they asked him, "So how far are you going down?" And that person pointed, and they got to where they was going, and said, "You can stop right here." I said, "I just gotta walk away. That's my driveway." And when they got in, opened the door, and they was getting out, the interior light came on. And, as they were standing up outside the door, that person had a long furry tail. It was sticking out underneath their coat. And as soon as they got out the doors, that person that was giving a ride, he just took off. And as he was going, he was looking back in the mirror and see if that person was still there, and that person disappeared. That was just one of my stories that I had. Strange things happen when it's raining all the time. You gotta be careful. Another story is about my mom and dad. They used to live out in the country with my grandma. And it was pouring down. We used to they had the windows. The heater wasn't working very well, so the windows would crack a little bit so they get air and so to keep the windows defrosted. And as they was going along, it was on the dirt road and it was muddy, so they was taking their time. And my dad said, "Look," he pointed ahead, and there was a white figure on the side of the road. As they was getting closer, they could see what kind of figure it was. It was a woman dressed in all white. It was in I don't know if she was wearing a white dress or kind of like a long old nightgown, but they was going along and they got a little bit closer, and as they was passing, he kind of rolled down the window and looked, because that person was on his side. And it was a lady with red eyes turned and looked at him. And so he hurried up, and my mom was sitting there hollering, "You better slow down," because it's all muddy. They were slipping and sliding, and as they looked back, that person was gone. But that's only 2 stories that I have to share with y'all, and I hope y'all enjoy them. What up?
All right, let's give him another round of applause. All right, the floor is open. Do I have any more storytellers out there? Come on down if you have a story. Don't be shy. Going once, going twice. You got blowed up. Oh, someone. You'll have to make some noise for her. I just hear her voice. I don't see her. Oh, there she is. Yeah.
I have red eyes too.
Uh-oh.
I'm back again. Oh, you back again? Yes, I am. And I have to learn how to hold this mic so you can hear me. Hello, I have returned with another story. Okay, let's see. Have you ever, anyone out here, have you ever heard the word looka? Looka? Has anybody heard that? Well, it's a bad spirit. And this story is true. Okay. I lived in Chicago for a long time. Can you hear me? Okay. I lived in Chicago for a long time. And my husband worked at a company. And every morning he would go and he would collect the time cards. He would go to each department to take to get a time card for all these people that worked there. So one morning, he didn't tell me this until about 2 weeks later after he had seen this thing. Now my husband was the type of man, he didn't believe in ghosts. He said monsters and things. He didn't believe in none of that stuff. He said they didn't exist. And he would laugh at me because my children wanted to hear ghost stories. You know how little children are. So he said, Dina, there's no such thing as ghosts. I said, okay. So then he went, as he was walking through these different departments, collecting the time cards, he said he saw something. He said this thing, he said it was about big as a medium-sized dog. He said he had a tail like a rat, and his face was like a pig. And he had sharp ears. And I said, when did you see this? He said, about 2 weeks ago. I said, what did you do when you saw it? He said, well, it scared me. And he said, you know, Dina, he said, this thing, as big as it was, went underneath a pallet. You know what a little pallet, the size of a pallet is. He said it crawled underneath it. And I said, you're finally telling me? He said, yes. He said, you're a good artist. Well, you know, I'm decent, that's about it. But anyway, he said, I want you to draw me a picture. He said, I told the guys about it at work, and he said, you saw a raccoon, you saw a possum. He said, no, this was bigger than a possum or a raccoon. So I got out my paper and pencil, sat down. He said, I want you to draw a pig's head, he told me. So I drew a pig, and he said, the ears are very sharp, and he said, its body was kind of like a dog's body. And he said, and the tail was very long and it curved. And he said that thing walked across my pathway. And he said he stopped. And it scared him, so he stopped. And I said, what did you do? Did you run or anything? He said no, but he said, I turned around and I started walking back the other way. He said, have you ever seen an animal like this? And I said, no. But I knew what he was. I knew what he was telling me. I knew what it was. But I didn't want to say nothing. So he said, Dina, he said, call your sister. And of course, she lived here in Oklahoma, so I called, and I didn't want to call her, but he was telling me, call her. So I said, okay, I'm going to call her. And I knew what she was going to say. I knew it, and I didn't want to know at the same time, but I knew within my heart what it was. So she said, I described it to her, and she said, he seen a loca. I said, I know. And she said, when he saw it, did he run? I said, no. But he said he turned around fast and walked away. She said, that's an evil spirit. She said, loca. She said, that means that it's going to take your soul. So she said, she said, when did he tell you? About 2 weeks later. I said, well, she said, he should have got help right away. She said, he should have called us, and we would have went to a medicine man and got medicine. She said, something's going bad. She said, something bad is going to happen. And of course, I didn't want to, then he stood right there saying, what did she say, Dina? And I said, he said, what did I see? And I didn't know what to tell him. I was afraid to. So I said, well, in the Indian way, they call it a loca. And I tried to explain it to him. And, you know, him telling me all this time that he didn't believe in ghosts. But I could see that fear in his eyes. I could tell he knew that there was something strange. Well, 2 weeks later, he went to the doctor. He said he was going to go get a checkup. He went to the doctor, and he came back. A few minutes later, he got a phone call. They said, come back right away. He went back. That's when they told him he had cancer. So, somehow in him, he knew within him that there was something abnormal about something that he saw with his own eyes. But, you know, he didn't want to say. But I knew what it was all that time. And yes, the cancer took him eventually. And that's my story. Then I have okay, I got another story to tell you folks. Okay, so when I was about 11 or 12 years old, it was during the summer, and when it's pretty hot at night, we'd sit out in the yard. We'd sit out in the yard and, you know, just pass the time away, you know. So, being a kid, I got up there and I whistled through my hands, you know, cup your hands together and blow through your thumbs and you make these weird sounds. Well, my dad said, wake us. And I thought that was funny, and I thought he's getting annoyed because I'm whistling through my hands. He said, you don't whistle at night. And so, anyway, he said, don't do that. He said, Naxen honetskin in wicked on this. He said, you are calling to something that is wild, he told me. And I said, and I thought that was funny. I thought, oh, he just annoyed with me, you know. So I decided to blow into my hands one more time. And when I did, we heard something coming over the house. And when we looked up, it was the largest bird we had ever seen. It was bigger than a condor or any large bird. And there was an old barn. We had an old barn there, and there was a big hickory nut tree. That bird flew into that hickory nut tree, landed in the tree, and we could hear the limbs cracking. It was huge. And of course, I was wrapped around my father by then, you know, and then the bird came down sat momentarily, then they flew off into the sky. I had no idea what it was, you know, and that my dad told me, he said, see, this is why you're not supposed to whistle at night. He said, and the next time you listen to what I'm saying, you know, but that's true. That bird was so huge, a big black bird. And so, you know, I never did whistle at night anymore after that, but I'm just glad it wasn't Bigfoot. I had to fight him. Okay, thank you.
All right, that's a good one. That's a good story she's telling. You know, that's one thing we don't appreciate anymore is our elders. You know, the knowledge that they have. You know, Mvskoke Creeks have these stories that were handed down from generation to generation. And that was just a prime example of that. All right, is there any other storytellers out there? Anybody got a story that they'd like to share tonight? Come on down if you are. Don't be shy. Uh-oh. Got someone coming up. He's got that serious walk, too. Wow. I'm already scared.
He's Che. My name is Brian Williams. I'm from Seminole, Oklahoma. Can you hear me? Once when I was growing up, some of my kinfolks ended up losing their house, and I'd asked one of the Indian churches out there south of Seminole if they could stay at the camp house until they kind of got back on their feet. So we go out there and they get permission to live there for about 2 or 3 months and exchange being kind of caretakers for the property. And one night I was out there with all the cousins, and we was all about 10, 12 years old, and we thought we was grown and we didn't have to listen to the adults, and we was out there in the church grounds playing tag, and decided we was going to play hide and go seek. It was about dark like it is right now. There was 10 of us that night, all cousins, 5 boys and 4 girls. And we was all out there playing, and had a big cedar tree in the middle of the church grounds, and that was our base, you know, and we'd run and touch base and couldn't be caught. We'd get up there and it was dark, and whenever we hit the base, in our minds we would all count. So we'd all know that we was all there, we was all safe, you know. It was 9 of us, and 1 of us was it. There, about after 10, 20 minutes, we was out there, and that last time we hit that last go around, we got up there and we was touching that cedar tree, saying, hey, you know, we're not it. In our minds, we was counting, not it. Well, we started looking around and realized that there was 1 extra person there that wasn't there to begin with. 1 extra little girl there that nobody recognized that night. We sitting there and we counted, and sure enough, she was standing right there, and we didn't know her, and we all got real quiet and stared at each other for a second. And we all got scared and screamed and took our running back to the house, back to the adults. And as we was running, I turned and looked back over my shoulder, and I saw her running across the road, dirt road out there, nothing but trees on the other side, and it disappeared into the dark. And we went up to the camp house, and we busted the door. Everybody's crying and yelling for the grown-ups, and they run outside, and we was looking for sympathy, but they ended up getting onto us. Say, yeah, what we tell y'all about playing hide and go seek at night? Say, y'all get out there and sit down. Y'all do it again, we're gonna come out here and whip y'all. So we all sit on the front porch, all scared to go in the house and scared to go out and play anymore. But yeah, it's about that age you start thinking, yeah, we know it all. We ain't gotta listen to the grown-ups, but they tell us these stories for a reason. And sometimes you find out the hard way. But Mado, that's my story.
All right. Is there any more storytellers out there? Any more? Any brave people out there? Come on down. Going. All right, here we go. He's got that strut. Let's make some noise for him.
My name is Stephen Wind. I'm Mvskoke Creek. I've lived in Okmulgee for over 30 years now, but I'm originally from Tulsa. This story takes place in Tulsa when I was a young boy. I was about 7 years old, I believe. It was in the fall. It was right after President Kennedy had been assassinated. I remember that because we watched the funeral on TV. But me and my mom and my older brother at the time, we had moved into an apartment located at 1119 East 5th Place in Tulsa, which is near the Tulsa Indian Health Care Resource Center now. It's just a couple of blocks away from there. But at the time it was Longfellow School, elementary school. That's where I went to school at the time. But anyway, we moved into this two-story house, which was subdivided into several apartments, 2 downstairs and 1 upstairs. There was a hallway once you opened the main front door, which was a pretty heavy door. There was a hallway leading down from our apartment to the back of the structure. There was an apartment on the other side, then there was a stairwell leading up to a upstairs apartment. So we moved in there, and it was during the fall. Leaves were blowing out there. I had walked around the block. I had asked my mama if it would be all right if I walked around the block, and she said yes, be okay, just come on back as soon as you do that. So I walked around the block. We had just moved in, and as I walked up the walkway to the house, that door, you had to push on it pretty hard to get it open because it was a heavy door. It swung open by itself, not completely open, just enough for a person to walk in there without having to open the door. So even though I was just a boy, that got me to thinking, what's going on here? Anyway, I stepped into the hallway, and as soon as I got into the hallway, it's like the hair on the back of my neck started standing up, my back started tingling, and I got real scared. So I didn't even bother trying to close the door. I just started knocking on the door real, let me in, let me in, let me in. So they came to the door, my older brother came to the door, what's wrong, Stephen, what's wrong? I said, I told him, I went in, I told him what happened. He said, oh, you're just imagining things. I said, no, I'm not either. So anyway, we had a couple other things happen while we lived there. Another thing was that one evening, this night, everybody was in bed. There was a back door to our apartment. We had a front door. We lived on this side, and back there was the back door. We heard something come through the back door. And it went into our closet, and it appeared to be the shape of a woman. Dug around in the closet and then left and went out. So left a definite smell of perfume in the air. So that blew our minds. But that happened. Then my mom had a new pair of penny loafers. Back in those days, penny loafers were popular. But my mom had a brand new pair under her bed. And when she woke up one morning, they were missing. So we were getting kind of spooked about what was going on there. And then finally, one evening, we heard a ruckus on the apartment across from ours. And it sounded like chairs being turned over, racket being made. So the next day, my mom got in touch with the landlord, and he came over there, and we went over there with him. He opened that door and went in and looked around. There was turned over furniture, like there had been a fight in there. And so we had enough at that point. My mom made the decision that we were going to move, which we did, and the
landlord then told us when we made that decision at that time that prior to us moving in, there had been a big fight in that one apartment and a woman had been killed there. So I'm 66 years old now. I've never experienced anything like that since then. However, I did experience those things, and I know I did. So I've been spending these last close to 60 years since then. I know definitely that there's a spiritual world out there that, well, you never know when you may encounter it or what you may encounter, but it's definitely there, and that is my story. Mado.
Mado. All right. That was a good one. Again, I hope you guys are warmed up out here. Are you guys ready to tell some spooky stories? All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Now my next storyteller that's getting ready to come up, some of y'all might think he's an Indian Elvis, but he has all his moves, I was told. Even sounds just like him. But let's make some noise for Scotty Harjo, the true Indian Elvis. He's going to get up there and he's going to shake for you. Shake like that. Let's show him some love, guys.
Good evening. How y'all doing this evening? I guess it's been about 41 or maybe about 42 years ago. I was dating my wife, and where she lived at was right north of Henrietta, about 4 miles out there in the country. And this is going to kind of get you to the story I'm going to be telling you. And anyway, I'd leave her house, be headed home, and it was so funny. I would get probably maybe about 100 yards away from the driveway where her house was, where she's living, and something would grab my hair, and I had long hair back then, and pull it to the headrest, and boy, it scared me. And boy, I'd yank my head back, and I'd have to hang on to my head just to pull it out of whatever it was that had a hold of me. And I'd keep going down the road until I got to Henrietta, then lights were there, and I thought, man, I'm safe now because I'm in lights and everything. But that happened a few times, and she told her dad, and her dad said, I got something for you. He said, just stick this in your bill for it. He said, you'll be all right. And so after that, nothing ever happened. I got a brother sitting out here, and he told me, he said, it's probably your grandma pulling on your hair. It's probably what it was. But anyway, as years went by, little did I know, about 100 yards south of where she lived, that's where we had our house built. And so we got our house built, and you know, we were real young back then, and so I guess we were being good house guests and stuff, and we invited her brother over and his wife. Can you hear me now? We invited his brother over and his wife, and my wife, she said, I'll cook dinner and we'll eat. And so that's what we were doing. She cooked dinner and they come over, we ate. And again, we were just kind of brand new into the house, so we hadn't called the electric company to put out a night light yet in our yard. And so the only light that was out there is whatever coming from the house or from the moon. And so we went outside for some reason, and we were standing there. And my wife, she said, what is that in the trees over there? And where we live at, our house faces the east, and there's a little drop off in the yard. And then there's a line of thickets right there. And there was something sitting up there. And my brother-in-law, he said, that looks like an owl. And I said, it could be. I said, it could be. And we sat there and kept looking at it. And he said, I think that is an owl. And so he picked up a rock and threw it at it, and he said, man, I hit that thing, and just sit there. And I said, well, I'll go in the house and I'll get my shotgun. And so he said, well, I got a 22 in the car. He said, I got some shells. And so I told my wife, I said, go get some more shells out of the house for me for that shotgun. And the car was sitting there, and we was leaning on the car and looking, and boy, we both started shooting. Kept shooting. And that shotgun I had, you could load up 5 in it and just sit there and just pump it. And it was just one of those pump actions. You just keep shooting and shooting and shooting. Boy, I loaded that thing back up and kept shooting. We stopped and looked. He said, man, that thing's still there. And so finally I told my wife, I said, go in the house and get a flashlight. I want y'all to shine on it while we're shooting to make sure we're shooting that thing. And she said, okay. So she went in the house and she got her flashlight. We was laying across the car, both of us. Boy, we was ready for her to shine that light on her. Boy, she brought that light around, hit right on it. And it was a Walmart sack that got stuck in a tree. Had a bunch of holes in it. Wasn't even an owl at all. Boy, that scared us to death, though. But, you know, I guess, you know, because we see so many things and, you know, you hear so many things, you're told so many stories, and there's so much is said when you're growing up around our Indian folks and the communities we lived in, and, you know, all of a sudden, you know, it's just kind of like you're ready to see what it is that's happening. You're ready to get scared, and that's kind of how it was for us. We were, you know, always spooked a little bit about these things. But, you know, I have one more story, and I was sitting here really telling y'all this and trying to think of that one too, and I think I almost forgot what the story was. But it was probably, I would have to say, maybe about 44, 45 years ago. And my mom and dad and I, we used to travel and sing music and play gospel music and everything. And we had a friend of ours that he played the drums for us, and him and his wife they would travel with us, and we were always, you know, going out to some of our Indian churches, and you know, a lot of our Indian churches, man, they're way back there on the dirt roads, and you have to travel a little way sometimes to get to them, and you know, you don't think nothing about anything or about being scared, or you don't think of anything. You're ready to get there to play music, and you set up, you play your music, and when you're done, because those singings back then lasted a long time, then you're ready to go home, get some rest. And so we had been at this place, and we'd sung, and I don't even know what time it was. I just know that it was early in the morning. And so we were leaving, and it was a long dirt road to come out to actually get to the regular highway. And as we was driving and we was moving along, all of a sudden, my dad, and I was sitting in the front seat because he was driving a van, and he was driving. My mother was sitting in the back. And he said, what is that in the road? I said, I don't know. He said, there ain't no cow because it don't have the shape of a cow. And I said, no, I don't know what that is. But it was about this tall, but it looked really big. And as we got closer, he got real quiet, and so did I. And I could feel my mom's head. She was looking around through the window at it. And she said, what is that? I said, we don't know. But when we got right up on it, now I can't squat like that. If I do, I'll fall down. But it was squatted all the way down and had its hands wrapped around its legs. And when we drove by, its eyes were looking in the window, and they were real red. And we went around it, and they just sat there and looked at us. And we went down and turned around, and our drummer, he came by, and we seen him go around it, and we were sitting there looking, and it was still sitting there. And Dad said, what do you think that is? I said, I don't know. And so we all turned around and headed back and had our headlights on it. Next thing you know, it stood up. And it was probably a good 9 foot tall or better. And it started walking. And before you know it, it'd take about 3 or 4 steps and it was already across the road. That was my first encounter as a young man with seeing Bigfoot. And I had always heard about it and even heard it holler before, but that was my first time. But the thing is my mom and dad was there with me, and I had talked to this lady about it one day, and she said, her former husband said, he still talks about that. She said, I was sitting over sound asleep whenever y'all seen this thing. She said, I didn't see it, but he did. And she said, I had never seen him get scared like that. She said, but he was scared for a long time because that was the first time he'd ever seen it too. So unfortunately, they do exist. And so that's my stories for tonight. Thank you.
All right. Got a couple quick announcements. Somebody lost a blue lantern with car keys on it. If you guys see it, please bring the keys up to the table. Also, at this time, I'd like to recognize one of our distinguished Mvskoke people. Give him just a few minutes to say some words, or maybe he might have a story. I don't know. I'd like to call upon Mr. David Hill, Chief Hill. Maybe he might have a few words. Let's make some noise for him. He's a well-known speaker too, so let's give him just a little bit of time.
I really don't have anything tonight. No, I told him today, I said, you better holler at Scotty, let him talk tonight. Last year after we left, there was probably 10 of us. That's when the real ghost stories come out, and Scotty was one of them. Not actually him, but he was telling the story. He's looking at me now. But who's next? Who's the next story?
Let's call Teresa Ann Rice.
Teresa Ann Rice. Choctaw and Pawnee. I will say that night we was helping Siobhan put up the table and stuff. She was getting scared. She said, y'all lock the gate, I'm going home. Here she is. Thank you. Thank everyone for coming.
Hello, everyone. How are y'all doing tonight? Whew, these are my daughters. My name is Teresa Rice. Choctaw and Pawnee. Call us Chawnees. Living on the creek res. So my daughters, Delilah and Chloe, they follow me everywhere. It's nice to see you all here. This is an amazing turnout. I've been to many of these, and by far this is one of the best turnouts I've seen. So let me get into my ghost story for tonight. So, as I said, I have been to some of these before. A few months ago, I followed the guys to the one in Hominy. It was a good storytelling out there. It's kind of hot, but it worked. Yep, so we left a little bit early because it's a drive back to Mvskoke. We get home, get my family, my mom, my kids, get them in bed. And I lay down and go to sleep. It's probably like 1 o'clock in the morning, maybe 2. And my computer comes on. So before this, I'm just giving a little bit of backstory. You know how your elders always tell you, grandma, grandpa always tell you, be careful what you do, what you say, where you're at. You know, when we gather in a large group, when we gather, spirits come because we're here. They love us. We love them. And they walk among us. And it's why, you know, back in the day, your elders always warned you, you know, be careful who you see, who you meet, where you're at in the dark where all of us gather. So, of course, we're leaving the gathering, and that night I didn't smudge, I didn't take care of anything. When I got home, I didn't burn any sage, I just went on to bed. So, that being said, about 2 o'clock in the morning, my computer comes on. It hasn't done it before and hasn't done it since this night. It just comes on. If you know about computers, I have it set up where I have to put a code in to get onto my computer, and then you have to go into certain, you have to click on the little icons, and this is the only way to navigate in this computer. And I am a huge Halo fan. I love to game, so I'm a gaming mother. Thank you. Yes, I am a gaming mother, so I love to game, play Halo. And to get into Halo, you have to log on, you go into my Steam account. You know, it gets complicated. You're just going to click in there, you're going to go. But you have to do this. You have to sit at the computer and click that mouse and move it around. And my computer logs on, and it goes to my Halo game, which is my favorite game. And anyway, so I'm laying there like, is that happening? Did that really just happen? I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go back to sleep because that's not really happening. So apparently that wasn't enough to get my attention again. It turns my TV on. which my TV, you either have to manually go turn it on or you have to use a remote. It just doesn't cut on at 2:30 in the morning. And it goes to Netflix. Again, it's a smart TV. When it comes on, it goes to the main menu and you have to literally go pick something and then click on it and it will start streaming. That didn't happen either. This TV just came on by itself and it went to Netflix, and I guess it thought I liked Garfield and it started playing. So at this point I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I'm laying there like when you're little and you hear something, you think something's under your bed or outside the window. That's what I was experiencing. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to look underneath my bed. I didn't want to look to see if there was something in my room with me. But eventually I get up because I'm scared and I go get my cat. The hero of the story, the cat. Because cats, your animals, if you notice at some point your animals, they see more, they can tell more, they have that sixth sense with them. That's why a lot of our spirits are animal spirits, because they can communicate on another level. I'm just telling you, they're out there like that. They know. Well, I went and got my cat because I was scared. And I brought him in there and he acted normal. I shut the door and I locked him in there with me because I was like, if anything's going to go wrong, this cat's going to let me know. But he was cool for the rest of the night. That morning I did get up. I did do my due diligence, which was burn my sage, say a little prayer, apologize for disrespect I might have done in a hominy or coming home, telling ghost stories, and it has not happened since. But that is my scary story. It's just like a mild warning, when you go home, say the little prayer like, hey, come on, elders take care of me, reach out to your ancestors for a minute and say, hey, I was having a little fun, and if anything followed me home, to just keep it away. But that is my scary story. But on this note, I'm gonna do one more real quick. So there's something called, my favorite thing, it's called Missing 411. You can find it on YouTube. So what it is at the national parks, there's been a trend for the last almost 30 years, since 1970, of missing people. These people go missing. There's a whole case file on these things. They go missing on the edge of forests, caves, large bodies of water. Where you're taught and where we were taught the LPs are. Behave, use your due diligence. Listen to those stories. Don't go there after night. Don't be there. And these people have come up missing, and the way that they're found, some of them are never found again. Some of them, their clothing is found. It's odd. It's unexplainable. But we already know, because we have the stories like we're telling tonight. We already know what's happening. We were told not to go into those woods. We were told to use protection to go into these woods. And these people, non-natives, they don't know those stories. They're not here. They're not from these lands. They don't know that there is the LPs out there watching them. And so now the LPs are just not coming for us. They're coming for everybody else, too, that is venturing onto their land. So that's just a warning, keep up your sage, keep up your talismans. And that's my stories for the night. But thank you.
All right, let's give her another round of applause. That was awesome. Again, I've got a couple quick announcements. Later on this evening, they're going to have a, what do you call it? Where's Siobhan at? What was the contest again? Or the other contest? Oh, Bigfoot calling contest and witch cackle and the honka mash contest. Also, if you told a story, please stick around, because towards the end we're going to judge on all the stories that were told tonight, and you might win a prize. Looks like they got some pretty good prizes up here. So again, if you get a chance, stick around. They'll be calling all storytellers up at the end, and it'll be done by crowd. Okay, any other storytellers out there? Storytellers. Anybody got a story out there? Anybody? Going once. Going twice. All right, here we go. Oh, we got a Ghostbuster up here.
All right, y'all, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm going to tell you a story. This is a first-hand story that happened to me. So I love to fish, and I love to night fish. Me and my husband will go up the river, down the river, into these little scary spots and everything, and anchor out, and we'll set up our catfish lines. So you throw out all your lines and just wait. So we're sitting there, and we were way down at Weber's Falls, and first of all, we had to go under that I-40 bridge where the bridge collapse was, which is a little bit creepy anyway because of so many people had perished there. And so we went on around, and we kind of were, like on my location, it showed we were in Bayonne. So we got all set up, and it was real dark, and we turned our lights down so that the bugs wouldn't be bothering us. And we're sitting there, and nothing was biting. And then all of a sudden, I heard a big splash, and it was probably like as far away as that ice cream truck. And I said, "Oh, it was a good one. It was a big one jumping," thinking we're getting ready to get a bite. And then it came a little bit closer, and it splashed harder. And he said, "I think it might be a deer or something," like, because it was so loud. Then it came really close, and we tried to turn our lights on and see. And then he said, "I think someone's throwing rocks at us," out because we were right on a bluff. And he said, "I think someone's throwing rocks." And so he pulled his little gun out and tried to show it around so they'll go on. And he said, "Let's just get our anchor and go on." So we pulled the anchor up, and he went to turn the headlights on, and they wouldn't come on. And it was, you can't drive in the dark down the dark river without a light. So we pulled out the spotlight, and he said, "Jamie, get up there at the front of the boat and shine that light for me, and make sure I don't hit a stump or something." So I got up there, and I was holding the light out on the water. It was real foggy, and I get a little bit ADD, so I'm gonna slide over here and slide over there with the light just to see if I can spot some eyeballs or some raccoons or something. So I was doing that. I kind of shined over there, and on my light there was a little boy running down like on the side of the bank. And I said, "There's a little kid back there. There's a boy. There's a boy." And it scared me, though. It wasn't like I saw a child that was real or that I thought I could help. It scared me. And he said, "Well, it's, if it's a little boy, turn the light around and we got to help him." And so I was scared, and I turned the light back around, and I couldn't see it. And I said, "Do you see it?" And he goes, "It's a deer running off." And so I was like, "Oh my gosh." And so I was really nervous then. So then I just held that spotlight up and closed my eyes all the way until we got back up under the I-40 bridge. And I felt so scared that, I was going to see it again, or maybe it was something, whatever. So we finally got back. I was so glad to get back to the boat dock and unhook that boat, or get it loaded and everything like that. And so we started back around those windy roads back over, going back to our house. And it was real dark. And I don't know, it was weird because, like, when you're that scared and then, you're safe, you get kind of a little bit, like, emotional. So I started crying a little bit. And he looked over there and he was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Do you really think that was a..." And by the way, my husband's Tahiti, so he goes, "Do you think that was really a Wonka?" I was like, it did not have a top hat or anything. It was not Willy Wonka. And that was my scary story.
Appreciate it. Muddo. That was a real Ghostbusters, guys. All right, our next storyteller, she comes from Mvskoke. Boy, she came a long ways tonight. She's going to have a spooky drive home. Let's put our hands together for Gina Meeks.
Hello. Just a little backstory. We didn't grow up in traditional culture. We grew up in the church. So when we had the chance to go back and start going to stomp dance and stuff, we took it. And I had gone with my aunt to her grounds, and my grandma kind of broke down the rules. She was like, you don't ever go to the bathroom by yourself. Stay close to the grounds. Don't wander off with anybody you don't know. So she did all that for us. And I took 3 of my cousins with me. I was the oldest. I was probably about 15, 16. And we get out there and we dance a little bit. And, you know, if you do that, go to stomp dance, you know the bathrooms are like way, way off. So we finally get to a point where we decide we need to go to the bathroom. So we're walking out there, and there's like 3 kids already in line in front of us. It was a little boy and 2 little girls. And I noticed they're dressed in like traditional wear. So I'm like, oh, I like their dresses. And that little boy, he looks cute. And we're just talking amongst ourselves, and they're talking too. We're not into their conversation. They're just like talking and laughing, and we're like right behind them. And so eventually they go to the bathroom, and then me and one of my cousins, we go first, and we hear the kids like kind of take off. And so we come out, and my other 2 cousins go in, and then I was like, it's like you could hear the kids going down by the little creek that they have at the grounds. And I told my cousin, I said, hurry up. And she said, we're almost done. I said, well, hurry up. I look at the other one that's sitting outside with me, and I asked her, I said, what little kids do you know go in the woods at night? Because it's dark, it's about midnight. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, listen. And we could hear the kids, like down by the creek. You can hear the rushing water. You can hear them laughing and talking. And their voices are like going further back into the woods. And we started banging on the bathroom door, telling my other cousins, hurry up, hurry up. And they finally come out. And I was like, I don't think those were kids. And so we like rushed back to the grounds where my aunt is waiting at her camp. And she tells us, don't go to the bathroom again. Don't go by yourself, stay in the group. So yeah, after that, we didn't ever go back to the bathroom the rest of that night because we found out what it was.
Mano! Appreciate it. Mano. All right, guys. My next storyteller, he's an artist. And he's very knowledgeable on a lot of things. But if you guys can see this right here, he makes these. So if you guys get a chance, visit with him. He'll make you one of these. I think he sells them for like 20 bucks. So again, it's not very expensive. You guys give him some business. You know, he's a artist. You know, this thing's pretty cool. So again, my next storyteller is Tim. Come on down.
First of all, I'd like to thank Chris for giving me an opportunity, and I was intending to come up here, and he keeps begging me. And anyway, I wasn't even an artist to start out with. What I seen, I didn't want to forget, so I made 7 of them with different colors myself, and just to show them off. And they said, are they display or what? I went to the big store and I said, no. I said, I didn't want to sell them, so I said, how much are they? And I said, $50. And they took all of them. And I said, God, I got to make them again. I'll make it for myself again. And I said, then I made another one, and they took all of them. And I said, I'll make some more extra. This time I made about 20 of them, and all of them went. And I said, this is my last one. I've been saying that ever since I made it, and I made about over 1,000 Bigfoot. And what I made was actually really look like what I seen. And anyway, it started out in 2010 in March. Me and this guy named Louis Lindsay, we was gonna throw some trash off for this man. After we loaded that truck, we didn't want to make 2 trips, so we made it all the way to the top and tied it down. And the storm came, and I went home, and I went back to Louis. I said, "What are we gonna do?" He said, "Let's go hurry up and dump him off." I said, "Okay." Storm went over about 9 o'clock, and I said, "Where can we go?" And if I dumped it off there, I wouldn't be telling y'all, but it was 2 miles south of Destin. I said, "There's a bridge with no siding on there. We'll park it on there, dump it off," but we never did dump it off. And anyway, it was about almost 10 o'clock. We got out there, and moonlight came out, and we could see for about almost half a mile. And as we got out of the truck, he got in the back fixing to dump stuff off, and I was on the passenger side. And Louis said, "Tim, wait a minute." He said, at first he said he didn't want to say it because thinking that I wouldn't believe it might disappear. But he thought it was a cow coming through that fence and coming through that cedar tree and out into the road. And I say it was good about a quarter of a mile. And he said, "Hey Tim, you look like somebody coming down that road." And I said, "Who could that be with this time of the night?" And I said, "I don't know." And I thought he was looking at that yard light about a mile down the road. And I looked down the road and I said, "Oh, I see what he's looking at." And this thing coming down the road, I noticed he was swinging his arm. And this thing was about the size of maybe about a 6-year-old boy. And it was a little black speck. And we kept watching him, and he's in back of the truck, and I'm on the passenger side of a truck. And instead of getting in the truck, we kept looking at it, and it got closer and closer. And as it got closer and closer, it got bigger and bigger. So he's still in back of the truck, and I'm still sitting on the side, and we should have jumped out and jumped in the truck or opened our truck door. But we just stood there till it got real close. And I should have went ahead and jumped in the passenger side, but instead I went around the truck and jumped in the other side, and he got out to the back and came around and jumped on his side of the truck. And as it got nearer, after we got in the truck, this Bigfoot y'all hearing about, it wasn't nothing close to that. And I don't even think it was a Bigfoot at all. And people that seen it before is going to tell y'all it's not a Bigfoot like you would see on TV with a human face and long arms and long leg and kind of stooping over it. It was nothing close to that one. And what we had out here was some kind of a monster. And it wasn't nothing close to the Bigfoot. And I don't even think this thing was a Bigfoot at all. The people that seen it before will tell you it was exactly what I made. And everywhere I went, somebody say, "I know somebody seen this." And anyway, it got in front of our truck, and he's standing there about 8 foot in front of our truck. And when we're sitting in the truck, that body span or shoulder span was the size of my pickup hood, and his big old long arm make the side of headlights out of a truck. So this thing was about the size of my front end of my truck. And as he stood there, we could kind of hear him kind of snorting. Well, he wasn't snorting at the time, and we didn't smell nothing. And we had a little window down, and he raised up his head. And when he raised up his head, we noticed in front of his snout, he had a big old, real saggy hair hanging down in the front and in the back too, about to his chest. And this thing didn't have no human head like you see in a lot of these Bigfoot movies or Bigfoot. So there was nothing close to that one. It wasn't even a Bigfoot. It was some kind of a monster because this thing didn't have no human head. This head was about good 2 foot wide and probably close to about 2.5 foot long in the head. And this thing had a head looked like just like a Scotty dog. It didn't have no human face. It had a snout, and the hair down in the middle, parts right in the middle, was hanging to the side all the way to his shoulder. And he raised up his head, and when he raised up his head, I noticed this thing had a nose about the size of a bull and kind of looked like a bull. His nose was that size, and I noticed through the hair, we could see through that moonlight because storm had just went over. And it seemed like on the side of his head, looked like he had an ear sticking up on the side, probably good 8 inches, and looked like he had a round looking ear, looked like a bear. But you could barely see it with that saggy hair just moving up and down. And we didn't know what to do. And this thing wasn't a Bigfoot because this thing didn't have no human head or face or anything like that. This thing had a head looked like a Scotty dog, looked like a dog face, and hair all over it. And anyway, it didn't smell like what they say it was. And I'm standing on the passenger side, and I was breathing heavy, and so was he. That's when we found out something was really out there. He said, "What is it?" He said, "God, I don't know." He said, "I don't know what it is either." But we were scared because we got our truck parked on a edge of that bridge, which was deep down in the bottom, and the back end was about halfway into that middle of that bridge with no siding on there. So we didn't know what that thing was up to, and it was a good long 2 minutes, and he just stood there, and we heard him start snorting after he raised up his head, and we didn't know what that thing was up to. That thing was big enough to pick up our truck and throw it on the side of that bridge and throw us out there along with that trash. So we didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to back up either. If I back up and he jump on it, I'd be in the middle of the bridge and he might pick it up and just throw us out there. We didn't know what to do. And it was kind of like, after we thought about it and started thinking back, after I got home, it was kind of like a horror movie that you would really see, but we wasn't there for real. And that thing was standing right in front of our truck. His waist was about top of my hood of my truck, so he had a shorter leg and real long, big arms, and his feet with no big old feet. It's probably about good 12 inches, but he didn't have no big feet. And he had a shorter leg that comes up to about front of my hood, and rest of the body, it was good, probably about 9-10 foot tall. And through that moonlight, he had an eyeball, And when he raised up his head, I could see some cucumbers. Seems like he had a little bush on top of his eyebrow, and he had cucumbers all over it. And he had eyeballs about the size of a baseball. And through that moonlight and reflecting off of our windshield, I was pretty sure he didn't have no red eyes. He had yellow eyes and looked like he had rings around it. And he had a big old eyeballs, but you could barely see that hair going on through that breeze. And we didn't know what to do, and that thing started snorting. And as we were sitting there, we didn't know what to do. And we was out there breathing. We didn't even talk. And we didn't know what he was up to. And he's standing right in front of our truck about 8 feet. And the people got in about 6 encounter, like they said. This was a different story. And we're sitting in this truck, and on the south side, there was a big old yellow moon out right after that storm. And it was in March, so you could see those clouds going through that moon. And we got a big old monster standing in front of us, and we're sitting in the truck like we're in a drive-in theater. And after I take back, I told Lizzie, I said, let's go get some popcorn. But that was after everything was over. And I said, Golly, Louis, I said, after all that, I said, I was thinking about eating some popcorn and give me a pop and just watch this horror movie. He said, here, he said, we was in it. And it turned out, after I thought about it, after I got home that next night, I said, that is like a drive-in theater, like we were in a real horror movie. And this Bigfoot standing in front of us, and we're sitting in the truck like a big old screen, and the moon's like behind us, and clouds going through, and we got a Bigfoot standing right in front of us, and this looked so real, but we were really into it, and it wasn't even a drive-in theater. And after I calmed down about next night, we were talking about it. I said, "Hey, Lewis," I said, "we had to go back out there and get us a pop and popcorn and so that for round 2." But we should have laughed about it, but we thought it was kind of funny after everything was over. But we was real scared, and we didn't know what to do. And I sat there, and boy, he was breathing hard. It was a good long 2 minutes. I just laid on that horn, and that thing jumped out of the way. When it jumped out of the way, turned his back. That thing had a back about the size of my hood, but it had a mud all over the back like you would see a cow rolling out in the mud. And it just disappeared just like that. And we went down there next day, but we didn't see no footprint. But a lot of people you hear, how come they don't leave a footprint? I think that thing had a pad under his leg, kind of like people would wear a moccasin. And people wear moccasin, they don't leave tracks. And that's the reason Bigfoot, sometimes they don't leave tracks. A lot of people say, well, he probably like a bear, he eats berries and stuff like that. Size of his head was like bigger, about the size of a cow or bigger. Those little bears ain't going to feed him. And they were swamp animals. And I kind of kept on for them until I lost the track of them. And anyway, back to the story, after that thing took off, boy, we stepped on the gas and went on, and we was halfway into a quarter of a mile, so we're about half a mile to the next stop sign. Boy, we stepped on that gas and went on, we didn't even talk. And then went to the next stop mile section and went to the next stop sign, and we stepped on the gas again about the third time. Then we went back to the number 9 highway, then we stepped on the gas and went straight across and went on. We didn't even talk all that time. We were so scared. We got all the way to ground. And I seen a car like way down there by North Canadian River coming up, and we got to the light by that Grand School, and I said, "Hey, Lewis," I said, I never thought about the headlight in the back behind my truck, and I said, and the tailgate was down anyway. I said, "Hey, Lewis," I said, what are we going to do with his treasure? What are we going to dump him out? Or should we wait till daytime or something? He said, Lewis looked in the back. He said, oh, you don't have to worry about that. He said, we ain't even got no trash back there. So we just dumped the trash off. We just took off and had that tailgate open. We had an ice box and tables and clothes and I don't know. We just piled it all up in there. When we got to Grand School, we didn't have no trash back there. So I guess we dumped them all over the road and about every stop sign we said, I heard that ice box window. I just heard it jumping out on the road. I just kept on going. And I guess it pushed him out of the way because when we got to Grand School, we didn't have no trash in the back of that truck. And I said, well, I hope this thing didn't have no names on it. Well, I said, if it is, it's probably the owner. And anyway, this thing, I seen it about 4 more times after that, but this time this was a distance. But the close encounter I really seen, it was about 8 foot right in front of my truck for 2 minutes, and we looked at it real good. And the way we made it is exactly the way it was, nothing different. And I would have tell you other things we've seen, but I'm not going to do it, but this was a male Bigfoot. And I'm pretty sure it might have been brown, but I'm pretty sure it was a solid black. And anyway, there were 3 more extra that I've been kind of keeping an eye on, but I was kind of scared too, but this was a bright daylight. And I looked out on the South Kennedy River from the top of the hill, and he was standing out in the water, and he was just turning around and looking around. And I left. And these things are swamp animals. And I noticed one that we kind of got from a distance. They don't smell like what they say they do. From a distance, about a half a block away, this thing will put out an odor like a skunk. It only puts out an odor when it's in danger, just like a skunk does. Or you don't smell anything other than urine type, and that was natural because no telling where they've been. And like you see a snake, frog, alligator, beaver, hippopotamus, and all those other things that lives in the water could live on the land. And this thing, I believe, was a swamp animal. And how come it comes out when it rains? Because hippopotamus could go long distance when it rains, and Bigfoot are the same way. When it's raining or whatever, he could go a long ways because he's a swamp animal. And what do they eat? I kind of think, well, from what I've seen, I think they noodle those catfish out of that water. They probably got wild hogs or whatever out there that they could live on. And where do they sleep? That people can find. I noticed, I talked to John Tiger and the rest of them, and I noticed this thing sleeps underwater, just like a beaver would or hippopotamus would. And these things got a height like a hippopotamus because they're bulletproof. You can't hardly kill them. They got real thick skin, and so did his Bigfoot. They got a real big skin. As far as his finger, I didn't see it. It was all hairy. And how many toes he had, I don't know. Because his bottom of his feet is like moccasins. And on that sandy road, he didn't leave no footprint. And I think he's got a lot to eat. And every time you hear Bigfoot, biggest part of it, they're around rivers. Especially when it ain't raining or dry season, they stay pretty close to the rivers. And when it starts raining, they could take a distance. And when it comes to the people's houses or yard, these things are known that they could blend in with a cedar tree. And I should have wrote down everything they did, but I just try to keep it in my mind, and hopefully I don't forget them. And this monster, ain't nothing compared to what they say about Bigfoot. This is a completely different story. So when they start talking about Bigfoot, well, this is a close encounter. This is what we've seen. This is where they live. I said, this thing is completely different story. When you see one, it's real scary. I don't care. You had a flat out on the road, and you hear it, and it's going to scare the crap out of you. And how do you avoid from you got one coming around your house? You hear a lot of people that, especially in there living out in the country. How do you keep him away? And I'll give you advice. If you have fire ready to build up or old tar around the outside of your yard, you could build a fire, and that will keep that Bigfoot away. Why? Because they've been in a forest fire, they've been running, they know what it looks like, and they're scared of fire. So if you feel one around there that's coming around there for real, be ready for it, and throw a gasoline in there, start a forest fire out there. That thing's are scared of fire. And if it comes right in front of your truck and you don't know what to do with it, lay on that horn, that thing will take off. And because they probably got real sensitive ears. The ear is kind of look like a bear, but I could really see it from that sack. It kind of look like a round ear on the side. I'm pretty sure they got ears. And the nose, it had a nose, I could barely see it when he raised up his head and that sack started going back and forth. He had a nose look like a bull. And when you see these Bigfoot hear him, they could, I'm sure a lot of people heard it, they kind of talk to each other kind of like our language would. But you can't understand it, but they could kind of make a type of our language kind of like the way we Mvskoke speak Creek. They kind of communicate like that. And there's a lot of things that I came in encounter with, and I've been through a lot of that, but I never didn't tell nobody. I just kept it to myself. And one time was in Bigfoot show, and people were expecting to hear that, and they started talking about Roger Pedersen, all the Indians out there don't care about it. And I said, we want to hear about the monster. We don't have no Bigfoot. We got some kind of monster out here. And he said, well, we want to hear a story about what happened last year, month ago, week ago, and last night. And everybody started saying, hey, you should have done our Bigfoot show. And I said, no, man, I can't do that. And I said, anyway, I've been through encounters with a Bigfoot show. But if people's been in a 6-foot encounter, I think they're bullying because we was in our truck and we were scared. And anyway, I could talk on and on about the other two that I've seen that I'll make the story short, and I know a lot of them, but one I came to our camp house one time, and I had about 13 big German Shepherds out there, and I heard him going crazy, and I thought it was a cow going in between our camp house. I got my 30-30, and I got the 22 rifle up under it, and I grabbed the 22 rifle. And when I grabbed that 22 rifle, it had right after that storm too. And it was pitch dark, and boy, they chased it around that briar behind that church house. And I heard that dog going crazy and rolling over and going around the camp house. And I seen something going through there. I thought it was a cow, and I didn't want it to hurt somebody's cow. So anyway, I took that 22 and it got hung up behind the briar. And I raced up that 22 trying to miss that cow. So I raced it about twice as higher than the cow. And when you got a human face, man. I know you ain't real. And let me look on the bottom. Nah, you ain't real. Cause what I seen wasn't like that. I mean, this was for real, man. Anyway, took a shot at it with a 22, and when I raced up and took a shot at it, I heard something holler loud. Well, I dropped my rifle, and boy, I took off, and the cow that got out of that briar, and dog chased across the road, and I heard it stooping over that fence. And I didn't know what it was. At the time, I didn't even know what Bigfoot looked like or what they were. But I didn't know what it was. But later on, about 10 years later, I found out what it was. And I thought, if I would have took that 30-30 deer rifle and if I hit it right there, I think I would have laid that thing about 8 foot away from me. Go get a flashlight and see something laying out there. I said, God, I wouldn't know what to do. But that's another close encounter I've been to. But I didn't see that face on that one. But whatever it was, it made a big old sound when I took off. And I've been through maybe about a good 7 of them. But Chris wanted me to tell what I told last night. And I said, oh, okay, I'll tell him. And I said, well, at the time I didn't know. And I said, how come? I said, well, last night you told us not to tell it twice. But anyway, I know it's not a good story, but I'm telling y'all, like the way it was, and if y'all ever seen one, I don't think it's a Bigfoot. I think we got some kind of a monster out there, because you could look all through that Bigfoot books and all that. It's got a human face. This don't have no human face. And you see a lot of Indians that seen it from a distance, they're going to tell you the same thing, that it don't have a human face. And now, they don't want to be wrong about the Bigfoot. They said now, they're calling him Dogman. Everybody's seeing a Dogman. No, that thing was there and was always there, and it's not a Dogman. And they don't want to be told wrong, because all those lies, I guess, they put on and showing TV and all that with a human face. No, you get in close encounter with one of these, this thing don't have no human face, and it's not a Dogman. It's something else. And it's not a Bigfoot, it's something else. Y'all look at it real good. That thing is real scary if you ever run into one of them. And that's all I'm going to say, because I'm sure we got another speaker here and I don't want to waste our time. But I'd like to thank Chris for giving me the opportunity for what I'm doing. And Maro juga sekarang yang oke kau ni best Maro.
All right. With no further ado, we got a special guest up here. And it's Mrs. Foot. And she's looking for Bigfoot. Said he always runs off like that. So anyway, if you've seen him, she's looking for him. She got dishes for him. Anyway, if you would like your kids or you'd like to take a picture with her, she'll be sitting right over here for just a little bit. And then she's got to move on. She's got a gig in Holdenville. So you guys come on up and take a picture with her. You guys come on down and take a picture with them. We're getting ready to do what they call a Bigfoot calling contest here in just a few minutes. And so I'm going to give everybody an opportunity that wants to take a picture with Mrs. Foot. You know, like I said, you know, uncles run off again. But anyway, you guys come up. Here in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, you get to see Mrs. Foot for the first time. Take a picture. Now, if anybody's interested in doing the Bigfoot call, you guys line up over here to the right of me. To the right of me. So if you're interested in this Bigfoot calling contest, they got some pretty cool prizes. So again, we're calling all Bigfoots. Come up here. Start making their way up here. Line up here over on my right. Anybody that wants to be in the Bigfoot calling contest. While we're waiting, our next storyteller, he resides from here. I think he's from Preston, if I remember correctly. Mr. Stephen Whitecloud. Let's put your hands together for him.
Bado jagay jabajisti. Hayowadi moy man Stephen Wycliffe to hold just cut on the way. Moy man ajulagi moy man Yoho naga hamga moy man chidimonayi bandwes. What I said with this is I'm going to tell you a story that the elders used to say. I'm going to speak it, a lot of it. I'm going to try to talk a lot of it in the Mvskoke language, and then I'm going to translate it in English, what I said. And so just be patient with me, but I'm going to moy man hofanangi moy man isti moy man ajulagi da moy man ohonagat hamgatum onayagi matstandoes. Moen hofanangi moen man isti honan wat hokolen moen man fogaya mandoes. Man momo moen man man fogaya of moen man man dokat adijagi matstandoes. Moen hayuet moen man momo moen man isti honan wat hamgat moen man ihe wa haget mabo hage matstandoes. Moen momo moen man doka da dimbi moen man ihewa man man hokti man ihewa hagat moen man doka da lakai of dundoes. And what I said is that there was a story that the elders used to talk about. They had told the story about two men that had went hunting, and as they were going hunting, they had built a fire. And later on that night, as they were sleeping, one of the men had heard the voice, and it sounded like his wife. And so when she came up to the fire, she looked exactly like his wife. And as the story goes on, moen stijari banaga chidimonaya handues and hayui moen man hadiro moen man ishti honan man hokti in hagat moen hoktahli hagimat stundoes. Moen, what I said is as when that the man that woke up and that the woman that looked like his wife, they started having sex. And so, when the other man, when he woke up, he saw, what he saw was Bobby dundoes, more man hije much dundoes. And what I said was when the other man woke up, he saw a coyote eating the other man, ate him up. And so man omi jajin mo man hook man ajuligidat mo man hamgato ojagi mat stundaweses mo man fogay off man isti huna mat fogay off mo man in hagit mo mabo heji got mon gehojiba mat stundawes. And so that is why that the elders used to say when men are going hunting, never to pay attention to the voice. If it sounds like your wife, never to pay attention to that voice, because it's not your wife. Mado jigajabachasti.
All right. I'm calling on Mr. Yehovah Tiger to give you an example of a Bigfoot call. Now, I was told this is how he got his missus with this call. So you guys pay attention. This is how you need to call.
Hold it for me, Chris.
You guys ready? Y'all better hold on now.
All right, y'all ready? No, I'm just playing. Go ahead. Just playing. Just messing around. All right. Woo! Y'all hear something? Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all dead quiet out there. Come on now.
All right. Now you guys know how it's supposed to sound. Okay. All my contestants over here. Okay, you guys line up right here. Right here. Okay, crowds, you guys pay attention because you're going to be the judge. Okay. Okay, say your name. And
Julian Harjo.
okay, go ahead. Damn, that was pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, be sure to say your name.
Victoria, and I googled this just now, so don't laugh at me. I'm gonna do the short call.
Yeah, that's a Mrs. Foot call right there, boy.
Hi, I'm Mvskoke, and I'm going to do the short version as well.
That's a baby foot. Ah. All right, be sure to tell them your name.
My name is Vanny Overby.
Man, that's a good one. I think I went deaf. No. All right, tell them your name.
Case.
All right, you ready, Case? Yeah. Boy, that sounds good. Juvenile Bigfoot right there. All right, be sure to tell them your name.
McKenna.
Awesome, awesome. That was baby right there, boy. All right, can you tell them your name?
My name is Mackenzie.
Awesome, awesome. All right. You ready?
Richard Beaver.
Woo! Woo! Boy, that sounds good. Anybody else? Are you guys? All right, tell them your name.
Harold Wakaji.
Woo! That was pretty good. You guys back there? All right. All right, you guys heard all that? Okay. This is for third place. You guys make some noise if you think it's this one. Ah, that's cold-blooded. Not one clap. No. I'm gonna clap for him then. Good one, good one, good one. All right, this one. All right, you guys keep count now. All right, what about this one? What about this one? This one. This one. This one.
Yeah, there you go.
Good job.
This one. All right, this one. Judges, pick the one that you thought.
Is this just third place?
Third place. Just third place. Be patient, guys. Yeah, 3 winners. Yeah, top 3.
Third place.
Alright, stand over there. Okay, this is for second place. This one. How about this one? This one. This one. This one. And this one. This one. How about this one? All right, my judges. This is for second place. Come on back here. Okay, this is for first place. Winner of all things. No. First place, this one. How about this one? 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 All right, this one, first place. All right, judges.
That's a tough one. Hey, Chris, I think it's a tie. I think they can go again.
Pick them up.
These two right here at the end.
All right. These two at the end, this one. And come on. Rest of you guys, shake hands. Y'all be patient back there. Okay, this is what they call a Bigfoot call-off. All right. You guys can go sit down. Appreciate it. Let's give them all a round of applause. All right, you two come up here. Okay, right here. So everybody can see. This is for first place. Mr. Harjo gets to go first. Good one. Please be honest. Yeah, both of these guys, it's gonna be tough. All right, my judges, you come. Tell me which one.
For Julian. For Julian.
Make some noise if you want this one. All right, is that it? Richard. Boy, it sounds like you got Bigfoots out there.
Hey, one more time, 'cause it's close. It's close. What you think, Russell? Close? Roll it.
All right, Julian's our winner. You guys shake hands. Motto, they'll give you your prizes.
First place.
All right. Do I have any other storytellers out there? Calling upon any storytellers out there. The floor is open.
Chris, right here, find you, right?
Okay, come on up. All right. God, this is Henrietta Honka. You better watch out. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Julian, and try to share a story with you tonight. Any of you guys, sometimes you make friends, you know, from different reserves. I used to have I still do, but I had a friend who's Navajo. And you guys got Navajo friends out there? Okay. Well, if at some point you come across some Navajo folks, you might hear about skinwalkers. And I used to think, it was all movie stuff. And that's what, we all kind of grew up like that. We like to be scared. And tonight, I didn't know whether to tell a Bigfoot story or Honka story. But I just thought, okay, well, let me tell this one, because I got so many. I would love to sit down and talk with everybody. And so, one year, my friend Darius, that's what his name was, Danae. I used to live in Denver. So, we would drive back 10 hours, weekends, and on those times that we would come back, we would be bragging. Who's got the scariest story? I tell him his Mvskoke stories, he's got these Navajo stories. One weekend I said, well, let's go to Beach Ground. Let's go to Ceremonial Grounds, do some dancing. I said, all right. So he'd never been. So we go down there and we're there dancing. I'm explaining to him, talking about the food. We're going to different camps, eating, man. He's telling me about all the Dene food, Navajo food that's good. So we always went back and forth. You know what I'm saying to you? You guys, am I losing you, or you guys hear me? Can you hear me all right? Make some noise. Okay. I forget sometimes when we listen, we get quiet too. So we're going back and forth, and at one point of the night, he said, "Who's that lady over there?" And I looked to my right and I said, where? There's nobody over here. Because there's a lady, she keeps coming up, but she'll walk back by the trees over there. I said, I don't see anybody. So he kept saying that all night. There's a lady over there, she keeps coming up. You don't see her? No, I don't see her. I said, man, you're giving me one of these stories. So I never seen the lady. So everything that he had, he said, man, I know I see this lady over here. So I didn't buy it. So I said, man, you're trying to scare me. We're out here. I know there's spirits out here. I know there's people out here, there's ancestors. So I always gave him a hard time about it. So, man, you didn't see no lady out here. So we drove back to Denver, come back. I'd go down to his reserve, down in Chinle. I mean, if anybody's ever been out to Navajo reserves, man, they're way out there. A lot of us that are from the South down here, SRO, Wetumpka, Wewoka, those at the bottoms, you know what I'm saying? This country is beautiful, beautiful things, man, beautiful. And if you go out there, you'll experience stuff. That's what I was always told. You go out to the woods, you'll experience because you're out there with them. So you have to take yourself out there. Have respect for it, first of all. So, again, I would always give him a hard time. And he said, hey, man, well, this weekend we're going to go down to one of my reserves and we're going to hang out. I'm going to take you to a hogan, to where some of my grandparents live. Anybody know what a hogan is? It's basically a little house, no running water, no electricity. It's how the Navajo people live. Still to this day, it's traditional and all that. And a lot of them are sheep herders. A lot of them raise sheep. And so from time to time, you'll see and hear coyotes. And there are wolves down this way. A lot of people don't see them, but there are wolves. You'll see them and you'll hear them. And again, they have sheep, so a lot of times they got to protect their sheep. And we were out there, and we're out there kind of just chilling and enjoying. And you look out, man, a lot of times out there, there's a lot of things that fly around in the sky too. Star people. So we're out there, and his grandparents tell us, you guys, go ahead and go in, wash off, get ready to go to bed. We had a little fire going out there. And we go in and, a couple, 3 hours later, we start hearing a lot of sheep crying around, screaming around. So the grandparents, they said, well, we better grab our guns because they already knew what it was. I didn't know what was going on, what was going to happen, but here they are with the guns. And you start hearing these sheep crying, whining around. And, you start freaking out if you're not used to hearing that. So I'm like, man, what's going on? And my friend Darius is like, man, let's get up and see. Let's go. My grandparents might need help. We might need help saving these sheep. And so we get up. And any of y'all got grandparents that had guns when you were little, you can relate to this, because I start hearing these guns popping out. Pow, 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 pow. You know, and I start hearing some Navajo. Navajo is probably going to be the hardest language for Native people to learn. I don't know if you guys ever heard Navajo, but it's a tough language. Sounds like it. But they're talking in Navajo, and my friend Darius goes, they hit one. They said they hit one. And far as I know, they were shooting at 4 different coyotes. And the grandmother shot one more round off as one was running off with the sheep in its mouth. The old lady, pow! And you saw this, stand back. You saw this animal. It was the skin of a coyote. You saw this thing roll across the ground. I'm trying to recreate it, but there's no way I could. But you saw this thing roll because it got hit. And as it rolled, it got back up to try to start running again. But it was running on its elbows and its knees like this. Those things, they're out there. And so, you gotta have respect, man, for some of these things. Because you can use those things for good, you can use them for bad. And as long as you have the love in your heart and you do the right things, we'll be all right. But we have to have respect for those things. So I just want to say that. You know what I'm saying? We're out here talking about spirits and things. I was told one of the reasons why you don't talk about it is because they'll come here. But we're out here trying to have a good time. It's Halloween. I just want to share that. Because I thought I was going to come out here with some good stories. Man, I ain't heard nothing yet. So I just want to share that with y'all. How y'all feel that one? Was that in number 5, number 6? I got more of them. We'll sit down and chop it at one of these times. My name is Julian. Everybody have a good, safe one. Yee!
All right, I got a couple announcements. They said taco stands got some honka prices over there on their Indian tacos. I think it's $5 or something like that. But if you give them that honka holler, they might even cut it down even a little bit lower. But they also got cocoa and cookies or something. Cocoa and cookies. And right now I have a youngster wanting to come up and tell her story. Her name is Shaylin. And if you guys can, show her some love real quick. Make some noise for her.
Alright, they told me to act all big and bad, and then, so I did. And then somebody said, oh, look, it's baby Bigfoot. I was like, that killed my ego. Anyways, so this took place at my grandparents' place, and I was outside in the backyard talking on the phone. So like, the woods is behind me, right? And I'm sitting down, I'm facing the moon, and all of a sudden I hear like this wind noise. So like mid-sentence, I stop, and I'm like, look behind me, and I'm like, whatever, I'm not hearing nothing. And then I hear it again, and I stop, and I stand up, and I look, turn around, and I see like this black figure, and it's like kind of like hunched over, you know, and I got scared and just went up the stairs. But yeah, oh, it made this like wind noise. Like it wasn't wind, but it was like this high screeching kind of noise. I can't really explain it, and I can't do it because it's too hard. But yeah, that's it. Anyway.
All right. We've got Mr. Scotty Nelson. He's wanting to come up and He wants to tell another story. But before he does, he's going to give us a song. No.
Oh, golly. And that was, yeah. The story I was going to tell you earlier when I was talking, I forgot what that story was when I was sitting out there and remembered. I don't know why I forgot, but I did. But anyway, I have an old friend that unfortunately he's not with us anymore, and it's been a while since he's went on. And how many of y'all know where Vernon, Oklahoma is? Oh, we got some Vernonites here. But anyway, I was down there one time at a church. How many know where Trenton Church is? Yeah, there we go. Our Trenton nights then. And so, anyway, we was down there, and they was having a wake service. So I went down there, and I kind of hung around with everybody until everything was over with. And a buddy of mine, he said, "Hey, can you give me a ride home back to Dustin?" I said, "Sure, I'll give you a ride home. You know, you can go back to the highway through Vernon, down number 9, or you can go from Trenton, just head straight west on that dirt road." And I like to kind of change up things every now and then, so I thought, well, I'll just go straight west on the dirt road. He got in the car. When I turned right, I got down about a mile, and he was sitting there looking at me, and I said, "What?" He said, "What are you going down this road for?" I said, "Well, it's just a different way." And I said, "It'll get us back to the highway." He goes, "Oh, I know that." He said, "But things get in the car with you when you go down this road." And I said, "Well, if you don't think about it, maybe they won't." And so anyway, we were going down the road, and as you get to this one point, you have to kind of curve back a little bit before you start heading back west, and then you'll kind of curve back a little ways to the north, and you're getting close to coming out of there. But on that curve, there was a house that set up there, and we was going by that house. He said, "Slow down a minute." He said, "Look at that house." I said, "Yeah." Grass was all grown up around it. Windows were knocked out. And he said, "That house has been like that for a number of years." He said, "Even when I was younger," he said, "when I would go out drinking and stuff," he said, "I'd always come back on this road." He said, "But one night," he said, "I was out drinking a little bit." He said, "But I wasn't really hodging." He said, "I was just taking my time." And he said, "I'd already passed Trenton Church." And he said, "I was going along." And he said, "And I seen this guy walking." And he said, "My car didn't have AC or nothing in it." He said, "I had all the windows down." And he said, "Hey, you need a ride?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "Give me a ride." He said, so that guy got in the car with me and said, we were going down the road, and he said, "That house I showed you," he said, he told me, he said, "Just take me to this house right up here." And he said, and that'll be it. He said, "All right." He said, so we come to that house, and he said, and when we came to that house, he said, I had never really paid much attention to it before over the years. And he said, but I knew that it was pretty much abandoned. But that night, he said, we pulled up, and he said, all the lights were on. He said, the grass was really cut real good. And he said, I pulled up in the driveway, and he said, you could see people moving around in all those rooms. And he said, I sat there, and that guy said, "Come on in." He said, "Come on in with us." He said, I think they're probably got supper ready. You can come in there and eat with us. And he said, no, I think I'll just, head on to the house. He said, I'm not too far from there. He said, no, come on in. And he said, somebody walked out on the porch and hollered, said, y'all come in. Y'all come on in. He said, y'all come eat. And he said, I sat there for a moment and almost thought about getting out of the car. And he said, I thought, no, I better just go on home. And he said, so I told him, he said, no, I think I'm going to head to the house. He said, it's getting late. And he said, I better get on before, I start drinking too much. He said, well, I want to get home while I can still drive. And he said, so I went on to the house and didn't think much of it. He said, the next morning, he said, I woke up and he said, I thought, I'm going to go back out there to that house and see who that person was. And he said, so I headed back out and went down that dirt road. And he said, and when I come around that curve and that house was sitting there, he said, I couldn't even pull up in the driveway. The weeds were all grown up. He said, the windows were still broken out. And he said, I often wonder what would have happened to me if I'd have went into that house that night with that guy. I often wondered what would have got a hold of me if I went into that house. And he said, after that, he said, I quit traveling this road anymore. He said, I usually go back to number 9. He said, that's why I asked you, why do you got to go down this road to get back to Dustin? And he said, I don't like traveling down this way anymore. He said, because too many things get in the car with you. That's the end of my story. But
All right, do I have any other storytellers out there? Real quick, I want to make a quick announcement. Yeah, we got a lot of vendors over there still selling their items. So you guys help them out. You know, go over there and purchase a little something. You know, I know everybody's having tough times today. You know, help these vendors out. Purchase something. Jackie Jackson's always been one of my official Bigfoot t-shirt vendors. And tonight she's got several Bigfoot shirts over here. You know, they're like, 15, 20 for some. She carries up to 5X. So if you got some big boys at home, you might want to hit her up, get you a good shirt. She's got long sleeves. She's got hoodies. She's got everything. So again, you guys hit her up. She's just right over there. We got some other vendors over there selling skirts. They got food, all kinds of stuff. You guys go help them out a little bit. We have any other storytellers at this time? Come on down.
I'm gonna take my glasses off so they can't. All right. Don't want me nervous. Hi. He was talking about Vernon. I belong to Muddy Water Swamp Ground. So me and my 3 kids, we left the grounds probably about 3 in the morning, early Sunday morning, because we had to make a drive to Tulsa. And I usually go through Hannah to number 9 to get back to the turnpike. So I thought, well, I'll take a shortcut. Took the turn to go through Vernon. So I'm driving along, and there's this guy standing in the middle of the road, and he's doing this. And my kids are like, Mom, Mom. So I go around him, and right there, that first curve, I go around the curve, and there's like this big pile of wire across the road. And so I didn't have time to stop. I just kind of went over it, you know, and went through Vernon, got all the way to Highway 9, the stop sign there, and my car dies. My kids are freaking out. They're like, Mom, like, so I'm just sitting there, wait a few minutes, and it finally starts. Luckily, I was scared. Anyway, that isn't what I was going to tell you, but I just thought I would because he mentioned Vernon. We never cut through there anymore, even in the daylight. When I was younger, I was at my uncle's house, and I was sleeping in a bedroom. I had me and my little cousin, who's probably like 2 years younger than me, and so I don't know what time, it's dark, maybe about 2 or 3 in the morning, and he's crying. So he wakes me up, and he's sitting up in the bed. So I sit up, and he's looking towards the doorway. Outside the doorway, there's a hall that goes across, but you can go out of the room and go straight ahead as well. So he's sitting looking at the doorway, and I look too, and I see these figures. There's a line of people going this way, and a line of people going this way. And, you know, he's crying, so I just grab him, and like in the movies, I lay him back down, we covered our heads, and fell back asleep. I didn't really tell anybody about what happened until I got older. And I don't remember what year the movie Poltergeist came out, but I was watching that movie. And there's one scene where the radio came on, and these spirits come walking down the stairs, or they're floating down the stairs. And you can see through them. And that's what, when I seen that, I thought, okay, that's exactly what I seen as a child. They were clear, so you could see through the line of people going this way and the line of people going this way. And they had this, kind of like the color of Freon. You know, it has that weird iridescent color, but you can see through it. And that's the color of these people, these spirits I see going back and forth. And I said, that's what I see. Or that's the only way I can describe it. So these spirits crossing back and forth. So my uncle's house, it finally went up for sale a couple of years ago, but even as an adult, there was a lot of strange things that happened there that nobody could explain. He lived alone. He had no kids, no wife. But every now and then we'd find ourselves over there and strange things would happen we couldn't explain. That's all I wanted to tell about my little spirit story as a kid.
Mado! All right. You know, again, tonight is to inspire people to tell stories tonight. I got a young man who's been asking me all night, can he tell a story? So again, I'm going to give him that time. You guys show him some love. Put your hands together for Mr. Chase. Come on up.
So this one's not really Bigfoot themed or anything, but it's like still kind of scary. So imagine this: you go to Sunny Stop and you want to get like a Snicker bar or something. So you get that, you go to the checkout, you swipe your card, and it declines. You check your bank account, and you find out you have 1 cent. And basically that's it. So yeah.
All right. Right now, I'm calling all my witches. We're going to get ready for our witches cackling contest. If you believe you're a witch or you think you're a witch, come on down. We're going to have a witches cackling contest. Can I have Siobhan Hill up, or Siobhan? Hey, let's go over Mary name. AG, can you come down? I need you to demonstrate for all our witches out there. Now, let's make that cackle. Come on now. Oh. Here you go. God, that sounds like something else. Wow. Well, you got the idea. If you want to do the witches cackling contest, let's come on down. Line up right here. Come on down. Any other contestants? Any other contestants? Are my judges getting ready? You got your paper, your pencil? You guys ready? All my contestants, come on down. You don't have to be female either. I know a lot of witches that aren't girls. God. You guys come on down. All right. Going once. Going twice. All right, come on down.
I was coming to get you.
All right, y'all come on. All right, all my contestants line up right here. Right here. All right. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Okay. Be sure to say your name before you start. What's your name?
Taylor.
All right. You ready? Ooh, that's scary. Coming from a little kid, I'm about ready to get out of here. No. All right. What's your name?
McKenna, I'm back again.
All right. She's going to try it again, second time. All right, let's go. Good one, good one. All right, can you say your name?
Mackenzie.
All right, you ready, Mackenzie? Ooh, wicked. All right, say your name.
It's the dang dude back gun case.
All right, you ready? Damn, that's pretty good. All right, say your name.
Ochadi.
You ready? I'm done. No. All right, you ready? What's your name?
Mary Walters.
Okay, you ready? You need some water? Let's get her some water. I know how it is to be parched sometimes. All right. This is going to be a good one. She's going to take a good drink when she does this. I know it. All right, you ready? All right, let's go. Damn, that was pretty good. Pretty good. All right. Say your name.
Okay, Monica. I tried this in the car on the way up here and I choked myself, so I was kind of worried about doing it. I'm going to cough. Yeah, that's right. Ring around the rosy, ring around the rosy.
Dang, you probably gave Siobhan some flashbacks. All right, you guys settle down. Let's see. Crowd, you guys going to be helping us out. All right, this little one. You guys think is winner? Now we're going to go for 3 places this time. This one. This one. This one. This one. This one. And this one. All right, my judges. Who are my 3? All 3. First, second, third. First, second, third. First place? Or? Third place, right there. Y'all give her a round of applause. Come over here. Second place, right there. Y'all give her a round of applause. Okay. Let's make some noise for this first place winner.
See here.
I like how everybody's staring at the judges. Ah.
Bated breath. No. Are you sure? What'd you say? Well, make some noise then.
All right, first place. Everybody shake hands.
Hey, good job, guys. Good job. Good job.
Everybody shake hands. Thank you for coming up.
Hey, good job.
Let's give them all a round of applause. Well, that was good.
Good job. Good job.
All right, do I have any more storytellers out there? Storytellers, come on down.
You guys go ahead and take your license here. Let's go first place first.
All right, looks like we got one. She's really giggling. So this must be a good one.
Okay. I'm kind of nervous and I'm doing this as for my son. He's been pushing me to come up here. So I'm going to tell you one. I'm sorry, I'm going to lose my voice. It's been a little bit hoarse, but I'm going to tell you the one from when I was about 16, 17. And at the time I was living in Florida. My dad was in the military, so we were in Florida living. And I was with a bunch of my friends, probably about 5 or 6 of us. And we had taken my parents' car. And we had heard of this story. I'm sure everybody's heard of this story, maybe from your town or something, where you have like Ghost Light Road. So I don't know if you've all heard of a Ghost Light Road. Well, where we were living at in Florida, there was a story about it. So we're like, let's go test this out. We don't really believe this, a bunch of teenage girls in the car, and this is probably early 90s, and this before digital cameras, and I had a film camera, so I had my film camera with me, and I wasn't driving, I was in the back seat, and we went to where the Ghost Light Road, right? And we drive down this road, it's paved, and there's a neighborhood, and there's a school, and we keep driving. We're supposed to keep driving down this road. It turns into a dirt road. We go further and further, and it gets more narrow, and we stop. We're like waiting, what's going to happen? We're all just kind of like, what do we do? What do we do? We start flashing our lights, and it's like pitch black. There's no lights out there. All you see is trees and woods, nothing out there. No lights, just us. Nothing's happening. We're just sitting there, Oh, this isn't, there's nothing out here. So we turn around, we turn the car around, still sit there, and my friend is driving the car, and I'm in the back seat, and she starts pumping the brakes, when you pump your brakes, that red light kind of goes like this. So she starts pumping those brakes. Suddenly, we see this light turns on. And the story was, we really didn't know the story, but the story was that there was a young man, he was riding a motorcycle, and he was racing back there, and he got in a car accident, or killed himself on a motorcycle. And he was supposed to be, haunting that road. So she's pumping that, the brakes, and that light comes on. And we all like, oh my gosh, the light came on. So we kind of drive a little bit further. We sit there, we stop, would go off, come back on, go off, and come back on. And we're like, oh, somebody probably just messing with us. So we just stay there, and she's pumping those brakes. And suddenly that light goes off, and it comes back on, and it's even closer. There's no noise. There's just the sound of us girls, kind of like, hee hee, oh my gosh, there's a light, kind of freaking out a little bit. We're 16, 17. And suddenly that light starts going like this, because again, it's a dirt road, so you're seeing the light go up and down like this. And I'm in the back seat. I'm looking in the back. And this light is getting closer, and you don't hear anything. There's no sound. It doesn't sound like a motorcycle. It doesn't sound like another car, but it's coming right for us. And we're screaming at my friend Jennifer, who is driving the car. Go, run! We're telling her, hit the gas. So she starts hitting that gas. That light is, when a car comes behind you or a motorcycle comes behind you, the beams of the light reflect off your back of your window. So it was that close, but you couldn't hear anything. There was no sound. And suddenly it went off, and we're just, hauling butt down that road, and it just disappears. So she slammed on the brakes, and we're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? She's, stopped. She said, it's gone. It disappeared. And then suddenly, it was right in front of us, this light. I get chills right now. I mean, it scared the crap out of us. And then of course we're screaming, we're screaming, so we just say, hit the gas and just go, right? And then the light goes off again, then it goes back behind us. That was the scariest thing. And so what I was trying to do at the back, because of my dad, he's into ghost stories, raised that way, right? And when he was younger, he would always do investigations. So I had my camera out there. I was like, I'm going to take a picture of this light. So the whole time we're doing this light's going off, and I'm trying to take a picture of this light chasing us, because I want to get it on camera. It wouldn't take the whole time. And again, it's following us. And as we can see all the houses, we can see there was a school nearby. We could see it. We were getting closer and closer to more people, and then suddenly it was just gone. And we hit that paved road, and we didn't even turn around. We just kept going. But as soon as we got off of that road and hit the major highway, my camera started working again. So for some reason, it didn't want me to take a picture of it. And I always tell that story, because 16, 17-year-old, when you see that, it's pretty amazing. Thank you.
All right. We're getting ready for our other contest. So where is Siobhan? She's like a spirit. She always just disappears. Anyway, our next contest, they call it the Honka Mash. It's a dance contest. Some of you guys might know it down this way. So again, if you're interested in contesting in this contest, I ask that you guys line up to the right of me. Anybody wants to be in this dance contest? Man, a woman, child, honka, you name it, come on up. Everybody, I want to see the biggest crowd out here. So again, man. Come on, guys. Come on. Veronica. Come on. Sharman, are you still here? Come on down. We need some contestants. All right, here they come. Anna, come on down. Kayla, I know you dance. Come on.
Niles wants to dance.
All right, our shapeshifter's gonna dance with them. I need my judges up and ready.
It all wants to dance.
Yeah, they got. We'll do one at a time. Oh no. All right, you guys get in a circle right here. Get in a circle right here. Get in a circle. Y'all gonna do this all together. Now, audience, you guys pay attention to your favorite dancer out here. All right, make a circle, guys. You guys know what a circle looks like. Circle. You guys come over here and get in the circle. That's good.
Are we going to round here?
No, you can go your freestyle. This is a freestyle dance.
Are they doing it?
Adults, you guys line up back here so y'all can be seen. Go back here.
Oh, we're TikTok live.
There you go.
I've never been on TikTok.
All right. When the music plays, you continue dancing. Our judges are going to tap you on the shoulder. If they tap you on the shoulder, you're out. You're out. Okay? Are my judges here? You're going to eliminate them to the last one. And then we'll see who the winner is. You ready? Countdown. 3, 2.
Dance, guys. Wow. That's even the Ghostbuster theme. All right, judges. Start eliminating them.
I don't know, man. It's
Come
tough
on,
right now.
Judge.
It's tough right now.
Let's start eliminating them.
Man, come on now. Both of y'all. Give me some, hey, mix it up. Don't do the same thing, mix it up. I'm out to eliminate you.
Ready?
Come on, judges.
Wait.
Hey.
Oh,
Wow. Now, I hope y'all seen that.
All right, down to the last three, Russell.
Wow. Y'all want to do 2 favors? Go ahead, dude.
All right, we got 3 winners right here. They were tied. Let's give them a round of applause. I'm worried about these youngsters, their parents, the way these girls was dancing. No. God. But anyway, do I have any more storytellers out here? Storytellers. Getting ready to wrap up our scary story contest. I'm calling any other storyteller out here. Is there any more storytellers out here? Going once, going twice. All right, I'm calling Yehola Tiger. Come tell our last story. Now I hope you guys were paying attention to all these storytellers, because at the end, after he's done, we're going to pick our scariest storyteller. Now myself, Yehola, and Russell, we're already eliminated. So you guys remember that. But again, we're going to give Mr. Tiger an opportunity to tell a story.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. Let's see here. How's everybody doing tonight? You guys have a good time? Oh, come on now. There we go. There we go. There we go. So when so this story happens when I was in Houston, Texas, Huntsville to be exact. My friend, I was staying with a couple friends, and we're staying at this house. This house is located in Huntsville, Texas. First day we move in, and the people I'm staying with, they're like, "Hey, you're gonna stay in that room right there." Okay, great. I'll stay in that room. That's fine. I'm by myself. I got my own bathroom. I'm living the life. That's the best. So we get done with our going to the concerts and going to the rodeo in Houston, and that first night, I noticed when I go into the room that there's a bunch of these dolls up on the wall and hanging out on the dressers. Me being me, I turned all those dolls around facing the wall. They all had the glass eyes, real creepy looking. I couldn't really stand to be looked at like that. So then I'm a weird sleeper too as well. I like the lights out. I like it pitch black. I don't like no light. First night, go to bed, close the door, wake up the next morning, the light was on and the dolls are turning back facing towards me. At first I'm like, okay, it's the people that I'm staying with, they're just messing with me. I go in there to confront them and they say, no, we don't know what you're talking about. Thinking that, I think they're messing with me. Second night, same thing happens. I'm like, all right, I go to him again and say, all right, no more. All right, I'm going to close this door. I'm going to lock it. So that third night, I locked the door, turned the lights out, turned the dolls back facing the wall. That morning, woke up, and guess what? That light was on, and those dolls are facing right back towards me. And I'm like, okay. They got a key. That's fine. I see how they're going to play. They're going to try and mess with me this whole trip. That's fine. I confront them again. They say, I swear to you that we are not going in there. The last night, or the last day that we were there, the same thing happens. I turn those dolls around, wake up, lights on, dolls are facing towards me. I lock the door, everything. And one thing that was different that night or that day was all the bathroom towels, everything were soaking wet in the bathtub. So I'm like, all right, there's got to be something, kind of weird going on. So we're leaving. And my friend goes, man, I don't know how you stayed in that room this whole week. She goes, my grandpa died in the room and in the bed that you were sleeping in. I looked at her so crazy, I couldn't even believe it. I got dead people juices on me. Man. So he had passed in that bed, the room and the bed, and he was very particular on his wife's stuff. His wife had all these dolls and had them in a certain way, and he was very particular about his house. And he turned everything how it was supposed to be when I'd go to bed. And I think he was messing with me, turning that light on, waking me up, trying to wake me up. That's my story, guys. I appreciate you guys coming out. I'm going to toss this back over to Chris. Appreciate that, guys.
All right. If you had told a story earlier and you want to be judged, we got 3 places. Come on down. If you had told a story earlier, come on down. There's 1. If you had told a story, Will, you told a story. If you had told a story, we have some good storytellers tonight. Randy, are you still here? Julian? You guys still here?
We're still here.
Come on down, guys. I know you told a story. Now tonight, if you look at this list up here, these were some real Mvskoke Seminole storytellers. They told some real good ones tonight. So anyway, do I have my judges ready? Are my judges ready? Okay, we're getting ready to see who the public. This one, make some noise. These are all keen Mvskoke storytellers. This one. 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 No. This one. In Ghostbuster. All right, my judges, you need to pick 3 spots.
We have 3. We got Mr. Julian
Come on.
It was pretty close between. We're going to do another round. We got Mr. Will Hill.
All right.
Oh, right here.
All right. All right. The rest of you guys shake hands.
Good job, guys. Good job.
We appreciate you guys coming out, telling these stories. So, God, left him hanging. That's what you get for God. All right, rest of you guys.
We need the crowd on this one.
Okay. So.
We got our top three right here. We're going to go away. We're going to winner takes all.
Okay. Okay, we're going to go with Will first. You thought he won? Make some noise. Elvis. Julian. All right, judges. Julian's third. Let's make some noise.
Do it again. Will?
Will.
Make some noise. Make some noise. There you go.
Mr. Nelson.
Make some noise.
All right. Mr. Harjo got first and Will got second. All right. Julian, did you get your prize? All right.
We're down.
Bottle of water. We get a bottle of water.
Got earrings, a necklace, and another set, yeah.
Nose ring. Nose ring. Pinky toe ring.
Yep. First goes first.
I'll go around there.
Okay. If you have trash, put it in the trash can. We want to definitely keep this place clean. Before we go, I'm going to ask Mr. Harjo to close us out with a prayer. And we'll turn the time over to him.
All right, before everybody gets out of here, I know y'all's ready to get home. It's kind of getting windy and everything. I want to have a prayer for you, everyone that's here, and those that are still on the road. Let us bow our heads. Father God, we always thank you for times when our people can come together. You know, we celebrate many different things, and now we're out here just sharing the different stories and the different things that we've heard, you know, since childhood. And, you know, it just makes us think and just remember and know about the things that we remember. Sometimes we almost think they didn't really happen until we hear these things again. But again, we're just so thankful that you watched up over us this evening and allowed the weather to be good for us. And now as we begin to travel home, we just ask that your hand of safety would be upon us and keep everyone safe as they travel home. And we're just so thankful again that this moment was allowed where we could come together, just enjoy each other, and just have fun. We thank you for all this. In thy precious and holy name we do pray. Amen.
Man. Sure appreciate it. But everybody have a safe trip home. Again, if you can, pick up your area. Help these guys out. We sure appreciate Mvskoke Creek Nation for hosting this. Mado!
Chris, he wants to get a picture of those. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You want to turn the light?
Might be too lusty. God. Hey, we're on Facebook Live right now, too. Oh. Let me turn that off real quick.